all of y'all.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio, along with your host, Brian Smith and
Kerry Smith.
Giving you all the late-breaking news of the weekend, the past week, and setting you up for an incredible week to come. So when you're around a water cooler at work, you know what you're talking about. Because the last thing that you don't want to do is not know who said this.
Do you think that a man's body is meant for penetration by another man?
Because if you don't know who said that, then you're not in the know at the water cooler.
Oh, that is going to be a soundbite we are going to abuse for years.
No pun intended.
No.
Wow. We've got a loaded stack of stuff today, folks. Stay with us. I mean, we are all over the place for you today. Everything from the Greek Euro fallout. Bill Cosby.
Are we still talking about? Oh, and Bill Cosby.
We're going to hit Bill Cosby. We're going to hit him. ISIS is doing some crazy stuff this week. I've sectioned off certain things now. I've got a liberal communist news section.
Oh, I love talking about that.
I've got a all things gay section.
Should we, one of the big things about this week is we are officially wired to take phone calls.
Yes, we are lit up, ready to take your phone calls.
Well, it's funny. We can now expose the joke, I think. For more than a year, we've been broadcasting every single week on Sunday. For more than a year. We joke about being able to take phone calls, but we really couldn't. We were kind of fibbing to you guys. We would say, please call in. And we would never give the number because we didn't have a number. Because even if we did,
we had numbers.
Yeah, we had numbers, but we had no. It wasn't wired to take any phone calls. So now we are officially wired to take phone calls. Now the big question is, I'm sitting here.
We don't want to let that cat out of the bag.
Yeah, I mean, how do you get the phone number? Is the big question. Should that be like a scavenger hunt type thing, or?
Well, if you go on http://
Wait, it's //
Okay, www://
Well, you want to slash the colon. Well, maybe you don't want to.
Oh no!
Let's look at what the interwebs say.
The interwebs. So I'm listing this out for everybody on the interweb. It is now posted on Kerry's.
So I'm sitting here with an unpublished tweet in my hand.
Oh no!
Should I not put the phone number?
Oh, I just published it.
Oh, so do put the number.
Well, I published it on your Facebook page.
The phone number.
Yeah.
What is it, by the way? Since you're listening,
you can call for now.
For now, I mean, it may change, but for now,
area code 562.
What?
440.
Is it 562 for real?
Yeah.
Oh, man, hold on. 562
440
440
0010.
0010. I don't know why I thought it was the other area code. Okay. Call-ins welcome.
Please stay on topic, and producer, yeah, make sure your finger is on the nuke button.
The nuke button. Well, you always have the volume. I don't like to censor people, but this is a family show. We've done a very good job, and I'm very proud of the fact that we don't slip the anti-family stuff in.
Well, I mean, unless it's talking about adult topics.
Well, no,
and
that
we
would
still
be double entendre.
Correct, but we stay on a clean note, if you will.
Well, if you're a child, let's say,
you wouldn't even know what we're talking about.
Right, 7 years old, you'd be like, this sounds boring. And
so when Bugs Bunny dressed up like a woman,
well, when you talk about Bugs Bunny, that might perk their interest.
So we don't want to do that.
But anyway, so anyway, what's the topics?
Let's dive right in head first into, because it's definitely a hot button for the past couple of weeks, and I think this is something that you and I talked about, and the more I think of it, the more I absolutely lose all faith in this country when it comes to this gay. It's not marriage, folks. It's called garage.
Oh, garage.
Yeah, we here at Smith Radio made up a word for them.
Gayrage.
Because marriage, by definition, cannot be gay, and they need a new word. So it's called garage.
Right, and that's what I've always said. I've always said, they just want to be accepted as being able to date each other or be in a lifelong monogamous relationship. And so they look to marriage as, oh, well, why can't we do that? Well, the thing is you can. It just would have to be called something different because there's already a definition of marriage.
Right.
So they could make up their own word, or we could do it for them, which is what we did with the garage thing. But instead, they went the wrong route, in my opinion, especially if they're trying to gain acceptance.
Right.
You don't want to start rubbing mud in the eyes of the people that you want to accept you and start, redefining words that have a lot of meaning to them.
And
right?
here on the show, we talk about this quite often. Words have meanings. I mean, Rush talks about that all the time as well. Words mean things. Words have definitions. And just like a legal document, if you put together a legal document and you sign it, whether it be anything from buying a car to a house to a corporation, and in those words on that document, they mean a specific thing.
Oh, yeah.
And if you change the definition of a word in that document...
That would be equivalent to whiting out the word and putting in a different word.
Whoa,
did I say white?
You said whiting out.
Why does it have to be whited out? Why?
Why can't it all be on black paper with white letters?
Yeah, you know what? That is so racist.
Can you imagine how hard that would be on your eyes, though?
Well, actually, back in the HTML days...
Yeah.
I created a website, and I thought, well, you know what would probably be easier on your eyes would be a very dark background with light-colored letters, because your eyes take in light, and too much light, like if you're out in the sun, can be annoying to your eyes, which is why you wear sunglasses. So I thought that by reducing the overall light, it would be easier on your eyes. And by making the entire background of the document, the web page, dark, and then the font white or light colored, it would be easier on your eyes because the total light hitting you would be less, and you'd still be able to see the font just fine. In fact, probably even better. Well, turns out, try reading websites that are like that. It actually will eventually give you a headache.
Yeah. I know Fox News has an app for my phone.
Yeah.
And when you click on the article to read it, it goes to a dark... Oh, it goes to a black background with, like, Fox News blue letters.
Okay.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't read it.
I had to learn from trial and error.
Okay, so do we want to talk about... I know you mentioned that some of the listeners out there are a little tough on the whole garage thing. But we've got to get out a lot of things that have come down this week.
Well, let's just get through it. And we'll say what we think of it and what.
Let's start with what started this all off, which is the Supreme Court. Apparently, the Supreme Court fell 5-4 on this.
It's always 5-4.
Okay, so if you removed 2 of the yes votes, you would have a 4-3. Do you like how I did that math real quick?
I need a blackboard or something. Or is it a whiteboard now?
Whoa. Oh, my goodness, folks. I don't know where we're going to go with this, but...
Is that racist?
I think it's possible.
It's possible.
So, Kagan, Justice Elena Kagan and Ruth Bader, I've lost my mind, I am the Crypt Keeper, Ginsburg.
Oh, she is.
She's like,
You put a dress on the Crypt Keeper and you have her.
when your own party is begging you to step down because you're too old, and you say, "Oh no, I've got life in me."
Well, and by the way, for those of you that don't know, we have a couple years left before we inevitably have a Republican president. And as you know, they're the ones that select a lifelong Supreme Court justice.
Right, who hand down crazy decisions.
Right. So they want her to step down before Obama goes so that he can select another communist
Young.
to legislate from the bench,
Right.
communism to institute into America and a police state, which we have seen precisely that in the past month.
Right.
And so
Because if our next president is not a communist and is not a dictator, somebody who's not that,
or a communist dictator.
right? Ruth Bader Ginsburg her life expectancy is reaching a maximum.
Her expiration date is rapidly approaching.
Correctly. So their whole goal is to get somebody in there young, maybe in their 30s.
Why not just throw a teenager in there? I mean, that's the whole thing is the low information
not?
voters. You got to have people in there who are going to act and react based solely on emotion and with no input whatsoever from the logic portion of their brain. So yes, let's put them in there young.
So Representative,
If you're a communist.
right? So Representative Louis Gohmert, Republican in Texas, told C-SPAN that Kagan and Ginsburg acted illegally, and they should have recused themselves from even weighing in on the same-sex marriage thing, garage. And by not recusing themselves, they violated the Constitution.
And they actually can be impeached.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
of course.
hold, whoa. Okay, so there's rules on the books for that. However, that means somebody actually has to do it.
Right, and that's the thing that a lot of low information voters, liberals, and rhinos, and even, most people in America, most U.S. citizens do not know that the only way somebody could get punished for breaking a law is if there's somebody somewhere whose either job it is to enforce it or is willing to stand up and say, hey, don't do that because it's a law. Writing a law does not make people all of a sudden obey it.
We're seeing that right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there was a caller in one of the shows at one point say that we live in a voluntary society, that the reason laws are adhered to by people is because they voluntarily adhere to it because we don't have enough cops in the entire country to stop a mass situation of breaking laws. But that's kind of a different subject than what we're talking about. We're talking about a very small number of people, one or two people, who are in positions of great power who can go ahead and break the law, actually violate law, because I think we live in a world now where, I should say, we live in an America now where people look at our leaders as this elite class of people that are kind of like royalty.
Yeah.
Like if you look in Europe and in the thousands of years of leadership that they've had over there, you can never question leadership because they were the supreme law of the land. And it's funny because that's the actual motto of like the Supreme Court or whatever,
right.
The supreme law of the land. And so people look at them like, well, it's the Supreme Court justice. They have there is nobody to enforce their illegal behavior.
Correct.
Which is not true, but everybody believes that.
Right, and we have Louis Gohmert, he's a politician, and he's screaming out loud, and let me quote him, he says, we have two justices that were totally disqualified. They acted illegally. They violated the Constitution. they should be removed, and this is not the quote anymore, but unquote, they should be removed, and their votes should not, in my opinion, and in a lot of other scholars' opinions, their votes should not even count. This garage thing should be a 4-3 loss for the Democrat Party.
That's interesting. I don't know what the exact rule is on an existing ruling. I don't know if somehow the people could go back and say, well, we're going to go ahead and ignore these two Supreme Court justices' votes. I don't know how that works. I just know that if Congress, the people, whoever, want a lifelong Supreme Court justice out of there, there is a legal procedure to do so. You are not stuck with these people. You can't just say, well, I know that they're breaking X, Y, and Z laws. They could be felons. They could be murdering, mass murderers. It could be Jeffrey Dahmer up there in the Supreme Court. But it's Supreme Court, and it's a lifelong.
Gotta keep them. Gotta keep them.
I mean, once you're given that position, I mean, what are you gonna do?
Well, yeah, and
that's not how it works,
right? And a lot of people talk about that as if that's how it works.
They believe it,
right?
They do. Right. They really believe. Well, it's Supreme Court justice. What are you gonna do?
So here's the code that they violated. It says any justice or judge or magistrate judge of the United States shall disqualify himself in any proceedings in which his impartiality might reasonably be questioned.
And why were they impartial?
There's another one. He shall also disqualify himself in the following circumstances: where he has a personal bias or prejudice concerning a party, a personal knowledge of dispute, evidentiary facts concerning the proceedings. Okay, so what I'm saying.
So what did they do that led to Louis Gohmert saying, is it Gohmert or Gomer?
I call him Gomer.
Okay, Gomer.
Like Gomer Pyle.
Okay, Gomer. So good old Gomer. What is he saying that they did that violates those specific rules?
Both Kagan and Ginsburg have performed same-sex marriages.
Oh, you mean they've presided over them?
Yes.
So I got to push back a little bit here. Is that really qualify as disqualifying? I mean,
because they're not impartial. They have a bias.
Well,
because they can't objectionably make a ruling based on impartiality. They have an agenda. They have a bias because both of them technically violated a law before it was even law by presiding over gay marriage.
Now, if you're saying that what they did was illegal, I would say yes. But wasn't it true that at the time there were a couple of states that allowed it?
That's fine and all. However, because of the severity of this ruling, because of the severity of this ruling,
the atrociousness of
right.
Wait, what?
They initially walked into this with a preconceived notion.
So you're saying that it's very, very likely and believable that they weren't going to look at the other side regardless. They went in there knowing exactly where they were going to fall on this, and it didn't matter what evidence was brought up.
It would be like this is the only thing that's coming to my mind, so bear with me, but it would be like me back in the 30s hanging out with...
You were alive in the 30s?
This is the Wayne's World edition.
The alternate ending.
The alternate ending. Okay, this is... everybody's got horse and buggies. And
in the 30s? I'm bearing with you here.
Scroll back a little further.
Okay. So the 1830s.
And the kids are listening now. They're like, what are they talking about? The 30s.
Yeah, they may have believed we had horse and buggy back in the
30s. True. So before Henry Ford became huge with the way he was putting out the cars, okay, and he invented this process, him and I were hanging out, and I'm one of the Supreme Court justices. And he called me up, and I went over there and hung out, and he's like, hey, man, why don't you take a ride in this horseless carriage? What do you think? I'll give you one. I said, okay, and I love it. All of a sudden, there's something, the law comes all the way up to the Supreme Court to decide whether cars should be banned or not. I automatically have a prejudgment disposition because I own a car.
And you love it.
And I was hanging out with Ford, who makes cars.
And so you're not even going to consider the other side is probably...
Why would I? I automatically have a bias.
Well, you could have a I don't know. You could say, well, I know I love it, but maybe there's merit to the argument on the other side.
And maybe there is, but...
But the public's not going to believe that.
Right, and the news out then, back then, Smith Radio hadn't come about until a few years after that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the fact is that we didn't even have the internet then. So...
Well, we had radio waves, I think.
Correct. So the problem is that information wouldn't have gotten out and nobody would have known. We have today information at our fingertips at any given moment, any given second. Like you have to fight yourself to push back on all the information coming in. Well, we now find out Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Kagan both performed same-sex marriages before they ruled in the Supreme Court that same-sex should be a thing of, should be the redefining of the definition of marriage.
Right. So I see what you're saying here now. So if you take into consideration that this ruling was simply to define what a marriage is, the fact that two of the justices had already performed something that they called a marriage that was not fitting the definition of marriage.
Correct.
Shows you what they believe the definition of marriage is already before even looking at both sides.
Right. Which
now it makes sense.
Right. Which means in that situation, a judge
should have
recused herself, which means it had been a ruling 4-3. We win. America wins. All of the Americas.
Webster's dictionary wins.
Winning? Anyone?
Logic wins.
Right.
I don't know.
So, thousands of gay rights supporters marched through Taipei in Taiwan on Saturday, months ahead of the elections that are likely to usher in a pro-gay party. Could make Taiwan the first place in Asia to legalize gay marriage.
Meanwhile, did you hear what happened in Russia?
Oh boy, did I.
Oh, so for those of you listening, apparently there's actually elections in Russia. I did not know that, which means that there's political parties.
Well, wait, when you say there's elections, I mean there's what do they call it when they're going through the motions?
Okay, so they're phoning it in. They're going through the motions, and as such, turns out Vladimir Putin is a part of a political party, which is kind of interesting. That would be like saying King Henry VIII was part of a political party. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Dictator Obama is part of a political party.
Yeah, well, right. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So he apparently is, and his party decided, hey, enough with this gay marriage stuff. We got the most masculine, straight premier that has ever walked around in Russia. So they decided to design and release a straight pride flag, which is, I mean, I got to give them kudos.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, the thing is we criticize Russia here, but it's if Russia is going to do things that America is too cowardly to do, I'm going to give them a high five.
Right.
And so anyway, they came out with a straight pride flag. If you're friends with us on Twitter, you will have seen it already since I've already tweeted it. But it's a blue flag with a man and a woman and 3 children all holding hands.
Good.
And at the bottom of the flag is a hashtag. Michelle Obama loves to do
hashtag
causes
bring our girls back. Did they ever come back?
I believe they came back pregnant with their rapists' children.
And said they really actually didn't want to come back. They were happy.
Well, because they were told to say that or else they'll be beheaded.
Right.
But anyway, so Yeah, so they put a hashtag on the bottom of this flag, and the hashtag is in Russian, and translated to English says real families.
Wow.
As in not fake families.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah. So they're basically not afraid to say what's up.
There's another country that's not afraid.
Really?
Where Obama was born.
Kenya? Oh, wait, whoa.
Whoa.
That was a slip there. I am sorry for that.
Well, he's supposed to go there to give a speech this week.
In Kenya.
In Kenya.
Because I said that. I actually said it because my heart said that's where he's from. And then I realized, oh, wait, he may not be there from there. But you're saying that's where I was referring to.
British intelligence says that he's from there.
Oh, my gosh. And British intelligence also agreed with us that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction that led to the Iraq War during the Bush administration. But anyway.
Which is true. They
I
did
digress.
actually.
Well, they did,
have
yeah.
weapons.
They absolutely did.
WMD. He's supposed to give a speech in Kenya.
Okay.
Why? I don't know. Oh, I guess he's going back to his family to see everybody. Because
Okay.
he does have a lot of family in Kenya.
Which you would if you were born there.
Correct. So lawmakers are debating how to approach Obama, and they're saying that he should not be allowed to talk about gay rights when he comes to Kenya. And people are protesting, say, don't bring that gay stuff here to Kenya. We don't want to hear it.
We don't want to hear no gay stuff. Wow. And now, and that's why there's marching in the streets, because gay people are oppressed and they're made fun of. And
what?
I don't know.
They can do anything that we can do.
Well, no, they're saying that we're getting bullied and people don't like us.
I'll tell you what, I got bullied. I think everybody's been bullied one time or another. Come on. And you even wrote an article about how we should bring bullying should be brought back.
Well,
It was tongue-in-cheek, folks, but
I wasn't kidding. And I mean, seriously.
I gave you a way out there.
I mean, I coach wrestling. And the thing about wrestling is competitive wrestling, when you go out there and compete, it feels like you are in an actual fight.
Yes.
Because you want to defeat this other person, they want to defeat you, and you're really going at each other. And, you can get bumps and bruises, and sometimes there's bloody noses are very common. I mean, it's like one step below like a boxing match.
Right.
So some people would wonder, why on earth would anybody want to do that and subject themselves to that? And why on earth would anybody want to enter their kids into that? We're talking young kids here. We're talking K through, me personally, I'm coaching K through 6th grade. So we're talking young school children here. And people, probably lots of people out there wonder, why on earth would you subject children to that, or anybody to that? There's a lot of good that comes from the development of your upbringing when it comes to going through stuff like that. It builds a lot of character, and you learn a lot of stuff. And don't you for a split second, you're living in a fantasy world, if you think that when you graduate from college, let's say, and move on to the work world, that there's not office bullying. I mean, it's more mental.
Dude, there's people bullying people in the shop.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to learn how to deal with this one day. I think what's better is to talk to the people that are being bullied and try to help teach them how to deal with it. I'll never forget the time I was seriously physically bullied. And one of the main reasons it was so bad and so prolonged was because I had this philosophy, I'm not getting into a fight, period. I'm not going to get in a fight. And finally,
the bully knew it too.
And yeah, that's exactly why it was getting worse. And so I finally broke down and went to my dad almost in tears and told him everything. After a long time, like I was just avoiding telling anybody. And finally I told my dad. And my dad said, well, sounds like you're just going to have to fight him. And so I pumped myself up.
Is your dad in prison still for that?
No, he's not. You know what? It was the best advice I probably ever got from my dad.
And that bully did not know what was coming.
Now, I did end up beating the ever-living hell out of him.
Well, fair enough.
But
he learned a lesson too.
But let's say I didn't. Let's say I lost. I still think that he would have given me a lot of respect,
right?
Given it a good college try.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
and I'm not saying that when you get to your office, you should go ahead and slug that guy that's been bullying you. But, maybe you wouldn't have to if you dealt with it when you were a child, instead of telling all these people who would possibly be bullies in school that we have a zero tolerance policy. It's not – these kids are not – damn it, not sending kids to hospitals when they bully.
No, well, not only that, but when they say we have a zero tolerance, bully tolerance, what are you saying? Are you saying that our kids are machines and we could deprogram that, take it out of them?
Zero tolerance doesn't work.
What is? How does zero tolerance work, though?
It doesn't. It doesn't. I'll tell you a zero tolerance policy that doesn't work. I was coaching at an inner city public school where they had a zero tolerance policy on fighting. And let me tell you how it worked. Tell me this
that
is
bans fighting. That does ban fighting.
Oh, let me tell you how that worked. And your mind is about to explode right now when you hear this. So if you get into a fight, obviously you're suspended. But because of the zero tolerance policy, if you retaliate or engage in the fight yourself, that maybe you didn't start it, but if you engage in the fight that somebody else started with you, you're also suspended. That also includes anything that you do to defend yourself at all.
So if I'm being pummeled, I cover up and maybe kick my legs.
I think if you cover up, turn away, and start to walk or run away, which we all know that you are going to egg it on. And not only that, but let's say you do escape. He is coming for you the next day. Yep. The next day, the next week, they're going to be like, hey, it's just like the guy that was bullying me in middle school that I walked. It took my dad to tell me it's time to have a fist fight with him in order to deal with this, in order to make it stop. That guy, not only did that guy never bully me again, but nobody dared bully me. Nobody even looked at me funny.
So what you did is you actually saved other kids from being bullied.
Well, I saved myself from being bullied by other kids.
Right, but you taught the bully a lesson. That he better watch himself.
You know what? He didn't. He did not bully anybody else after that.
I just thought of this as when I was a kid. All of us kids at one point in time said, "Man, mommy, he keeps chasing me. Tell him to stop chasing me."
Oh boy!
And my mom said, "Well, don't run from him."
Oh, there you go. That's a very, very good response.
So if you think running away from somebody will prevent them from chasing you,
you have to have something to chase after in order to give chase.
Right.
That's the only way you can give chase.
Yeah, exactly. So the Democrats in California have wasted no time after this ruling that gays can engage in garage in all states to introduce legislation that takes everything to the next level. Governor Jerry Brown, who is handed down by the Communist Party, Jerry Brown has signed a bill replacing the words husband and wife within the state law of California with the word spouse to accommodate same-sex marriage. I now pronounce you spouse and spouse.
Oh, man. I feel really guilty. My sign-up sheets say parent 1 and parent 2.
Oh,
I know. But hey, I'm at a Catholic school now. Now,
right.
I made that sign-up sheet when I was at the public school, but I didn't change it when I came over to the Catholic school. And I've had a lot of people scratching their head, wondering what the heck.
Dude, you were ahead of the curve.
And parent 1 has its own full address box, and parent 2 has its own full address box.
Yeah, well,
that's very common in the communist society of inner city public schooling.
Correct.
Very common because they actively engage in
separation of husband and wife.
Right. They actively not support but encourage that if you're a woman, you should be your own woman and be a single parent They're celebrated.
Right.
Especially if you are in high school, you get a special celebration for graduating with your children in the audience. That's a very, very important rite of passage, to be able to say that I graduated high school a single mother. Like, everybody else in the audience is jealous that you're getting this much attention.
Oh.
Now,
I hold on. I faded out there for a second because I was setting up our next sound bites.
Okay.
And I caught you on that, and I'm like, where is he? Oh, no.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it is celebrated.
When I was in high school, this wasn't very long ago, just a couple years ago, there was one girl who got pregnant.
And what happened?
You didn't see that she was pregnant. You just heard she was pregnant. You didn't see her anymore.
Yeah, because her parents had dignity.
She came back the next year a grade behind.
There you go. You know, when my mom got pregnant, when she was in high school, kids disappeared. Now, some people say that's sexist. What about the father? How
Well,
come he gets to stay in school? Well, maybe he should, because he's going to be the provider.
Going to have to find a way to make money to pay the child support.
Right. I'll tell you what, that's really cool that she did come back.
Next year, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. My mom didn't, so whatever. But she, it was very common in my mom's day that if somebody got pregnant, not only did you disappear, but you made sure that no rumors got out why you disappeared.
Well, and for those of you who are under the age of 20 that love to listen to this show, go to your grandparents and talk to them about what it was
Yeah,
like.
Ask them if they knew anybody that got pregnant in high school, because it existed.
Sure.
Even at the nicer public schools, like a neighborhood.
Did you ever
public
watch
schools.
that movie Grease
Oh yeah.
or Hairspray? Didn't it happen in Hairspray too?
I don't know which one it happened in. I know Grease is definitely
all the
not.
same.
It's like the same. It's like same movie. I don't know. But Grease, by the way, Grease, like I always thought growing up, oh, that's a fun-loving, colorful movie.
No, dude.
There's dancing and there's singing. My little 5-6-year-old daughter will love it. Yeah, that's not a children's movie.
No,
There's
sir.
so much smoking and the sex. Not they don't show sex, but they allude to it.
You know,
very
I didn't realize this, but back in the day, folks, I had my run-in with Hollywood, and I was rummaging through some VHS tape cassettes,
Okay.
and I stole a VHS player machine from my dad's basement.
You mean a VCR? He said VHS player machine. Woo!
a machine that plays VHS tapes?
Okay.
And I swiped it from my dad's garage, or the basement. And I rigged it up here at the house. And it, let me tell you, RCA cables are not readily available anymore. I mean, they are, but I have to, like, go get them. I don't
you
have
could
them
use
laying
a
around.
cable, though. Didn't all the VCRs had, like, you could put a coax?
The coax.
Yeah, coax. Mm-hmm.
I don't know where that is either.
Oh, okay.
I'm high tech. So I hooked it up and I played this demo reel that I had set up for promotions. And my kids are watching it. And I'm like, wow, this might be kind of cool. And they're like, Daddy, why are you smoking?
Oopsies.
Like, whoa.
Oh.
I said, well, that's part of that character. That's not me. That's the character.
That's not me now.
That's not me. That's the character doing that.
Yeah, sometimes you have to play a character. And
Yeah. And
just because you play a bad guy doesn't mean you're a bad guy.
right. Right. Well, just ask Al Pacino that. Whoa.
He's probably a nice guy.
Right. So I've been living a lie, folks,
You've been living a lie.
for the last 7 years of my children's lives.
Oh.
I am and have always been a non-smoker.
Well, you're not just a non-smoker. You actively hate smokers.
Oh, especially not the people themselves, it's the smell. And I've apologized to people in the past. I had no idea that
much
he
you
smelled so
stunk.
bad.
Well, it's weird because
I was never disrespectful with cigarette butts like people are around my place. Yeah, throw that out there to y'all.
You were disrespectful.
Yeah, I
with
didn't.
butts. Smokers are
I
disrespectful.
never threw cigarette butts out of the car window ever.
Okay, I don't believe you, but okay.
Well, I'm doing it right now. No,
We're in a car?
We're in a car. We're in the back seat, both of us.
What? Whoa. Hey.
Grease all over again.
Whoa. What kind of grease are you talking about? Whoa.
Axle.
Oh, okay.
All right, look, we'll wrap this up for you folks.
No, I mean it's legal now. I mean,
That's correct. That is correct.
Oh,
Don't hate. Don't hate the player. Hate
don't
the
judge.
game.
Don't judge.
Don't judge. So Democrats are considering the impact that this garage will have on religious schools and their tax-exempt status.
It's going to cause. There's going to be a reckoning.
Okay, that was his first name. I did not say a bad word, folks.
Oh,
Dick,
Producer, did you bleep that? I know we're on a half-second delay.
Illinois Senator Dick Durbin, minority whip and second most powerful Democrat in the Senate, told the Weekly Standard's John McCormick that he was unsure if he supported revoking the charitable tax status of religious schools. Quote, "There's no question this is a historic decision, and now we're going to have to go through a series of suggestions for new laws to implement it. I can't predict how this will end."
Well, it's going to be a
I can
crossroads.
predict how it'll end.
Well, tell me. How's it going to end?
It ends bad. It doesn't end good.
Why?
Because when you open Pandora's box, you don't shut it. You don't close it.
I don't want to hear that. I'm waiting for somebody to say, okay, at the end of the day, we can't just completely revoke the First Amendment. We just can't do it. So we're going to have to rethink what we originally ruled on this, and then everything will be okay. Because here's the reckoning. They're going to have to make that decision. Somebody's going to have to really take a hard look. And when I mean somebody, I mean the idiot 9 justices of the Supreme Court. Right. And the reason they're idiots is because they're appointed friends of the idiots we elect to presidency.
Right. Now, there are a couple on that are justices that
Clarence Thomas is
amazing. Correct.
Is an honorable man who truly loves the Constitution. Was he appointed by Ronald Reagan?
Yes.
So that's why. I mean, Ronald Reagan said, all right. Ronald Reagan loved America as founded. He loved the Constitution as written, including the Bill of Rights. And so he made sure that he appointed the correct person to the Supreme Court, which is why Clarence Thomas is probably the only one in the Supreme Court who belongs there.
It was Bush's dad. It was H. Bush.
Okay,
Sorry,
but,
91.
Well, it was close.
91. Yeah, we were in the
close.
right era. Yeah.
Well, we're talking about somebody who served as vice president for 8 years under Reagan, so it doesn't surprise me. So, I mean, Clarence Thomas is the only one who deserves to be there, who is qualified to be there, who has the right mentality and attitude towards America and the Constitution to be there. The other 8 of them are a bunch of rodeo clowns.
Nope. You got Anthony Scalia, who I like.
Scalia is the only other one. So we got 2 there. Clarence Thomas and Scalia are the only 2 that are not complete rodeo clowns.
Because John Roberts, who we thought originally might not have been.
No, he is a complete ass clown. Seriously.
Hold. I just got a visual on that. That didn't end well either.
It's not a clown's behind. It's a behind that is a clown.
Oh, right. So he's a donkey dressed up like a clown.
There you go.
An ass clown.
Ass clown.
I like that.
Would it be a clown dressed up as a donkey? So you're
Could
saying
be.
that the donkey, a furry donkey, has face paint all over it. I could see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, so Clarence Thomas and Scalia are the only ones. The rest of them are in a if they have any competency whatsoever. Like Roberts, I don't have any faith in has the intellectual capacity to. He's in over his head. Roberts is in way over his head. The other ones are actively engaging.
What about Alito? Samuel Alito?
I don't trust any of them.
Okay.
No, it's Scalia and Thomas. The rest of them are either completely in over their head, don't understand law, constitutional law, the Constitution itself, comprehending the text of our Constitution, or how it applies to everyday people, or they are actively engaging in rules for radicals at the Supreme Court, which is just nonstop chaos in order to distract from the implementation of communism in America.
Slate magazine hates Alito, which means I probably might like him more.
I don't know much about Slate magazine, but I will tell you this. After you saying that, I can safely say that Slate magazine is a communist rag.
Right, they hate him because quote, he's so rude.
That's why they don't like him.
He's so rude.
That's like my drill instructor in boot camp. Me calling him rude. Well, he was a great drill instructor.
Well, he shouldn't be so bossy.
He's bossy.
Bossy.
Oh my gosh.
So do you want to wrap this all up in a nutshell with the sound clip from The View?
Yeah.
Now, I know some of you listeners out there don't like the bantering back and forth of cackling.
What is the name of a creature that cackles?
Like a goose or something?
Bunch of mother gooses out there.
Well, they do refer to. I heard this back in the day from an older, seasoned veteran. It sounds like a bunch of old wet hens.
Oh,
If you took a group of wet hens and dumped a bucket of water on them,
I could see that. But the visual in my head of what they would look like. Have you ever seen the animated movie, Disney film, The Fox and the Hound?
yeah, from back in the day.
Do you remember the two geese? the old women with the apron on. And they would walk, and they were all about everybody's social life, and they were always throwing out their opinion. And
Yes, that's exactly what it is. So there's a TV show, for those of you who may not know, called The View, and it's a handful of women that sit around a table and cackle.
Yeah, and they, I'm not a woman, and Brian's not a woman, and those of you listening,
Don't judge me.
he may identify as a woman.
Is that racist?
I think that might be racist.
But, sexist. I have trouble understanding why a group of women who are trying to have a discussion decide that it's not only okay, but I don't know if it's preferable, but they'll all talk at the same time.
Non-stop.
Now,
Right.
when men talk, as soon as if two men in a group of men start talking at the same time, that's called interrupting. And if they continue to both talk at the same time, which is extremely rare, they are both they're playing chicken. Who's gonna let the other one talk is what they're doing. But it's very rare, very rare.
It's almost like a cockfight. You got two roosters in the ring,
Right.
trying to be who's the biggest.
But that's rare. Normally in a group of guys, if one guy interrupts the other guy, usually they'll either say, "Hey, don't interrupt me," or they'll let them interrupt them and they'll shut up and they'll let the other guy. Women, and the only thing I can think of that would explain this is that I think that women have this really weird ability. Some women, most women, to listen to what people are saying while they're talking.
Well, and they have this filter stuck in their ear that they can filter people out. So they don't hear them at all.
Oh, okay.
Like when I talk to my wife, sometimes she can't hear me. because accidentally the filter
I've seen
flips.
that.
It flips on.
Sometimes they don't have control over the switch.
Correct, and so
Okay.
it's.
kinda
I don't
like-
want to say it's a defect.
But there may be a biological reason why
True.
that function is available.
There was a study done that said that the sound of men's voice, the deep sound of our voice, is not preferable to the ears of women in their ear. Like
It's not preferable?
Right. The makeup in their ear is preferable to higher pitched sounds, i.e. children. Watching children.
Okay.
They took the study down because it seemed a little biased, a little racist, a little genderish.
Well, I can tell you from
pigeonholing women into rearing children.
Interesting. So you're saying it's sexist?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, we know somebody who the voice of children will make him want to commit homicide.
I know his brother.
Okay. All right.
So let's get on with the View. We'll stop it throughout and just chit chat and talk.
To give you a rest from the ear-piercing cackling. All right, go.
All right, here we go.
Former owners of an Oregon bakery who refused to bake a cake for a lesbian wedding have just been ordered to pay $135,000 to the couple. Because some folks are saying, well, we feel that they refused this right because it was a religious thing for them, maybe, because they didn't want to work with lesbians. Right? You know, so is this right, or did they actually violate?
I mean, I'm just thinking $135,000 seems like a lot of money. I think what they did was wrong, and they should have paid a price. But it seems like, I mean, can you imagine?
The Oregon law says that the Oregon law bars businesses from discriminating against sexual orientation, race, disability, age, or religion. And to me, it's the same exact thing that they did back in the day, saying that black people couldn't do certain things because it's my religious.
Okay, before Candace jumps in, I just want to call out. Was that Rudy from the Cosby Show?
I don't know who she is, but I just want to do something. Bad thought. She just,
She was saying that this is
she's a black woman,
right? Young, I mean,
really young. That's why I'm wondering.
30-ish,
Like, I feel like I
25,
should
30-ish.
know who she is,
right? Like she was a child actor in the
Okay.
80s and 90s.
Maybe it was Rudy. I don't know, but she's. Your opinion doesn't matter, and some people would say Candace, her opinion shouldn't matter either. But when you got it right, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and give you kudos, which Candace, who's about to respond to that lunacy, did get it right. But
She's in place of Rosie Perez right now.
Candace is, or the other one?
The other Rudy. We'll call her Rudy till we figure out her name. Somebody call in.
Yeah. So Rudy goes straight to race. It's like the same thing. It's the same thing they did back in the civil rights movement with, And so Candace, you want to start
Okay.
playing it again?
All right, here we go.
I think you are comparing apples to oranges here. I don't think this is discrimination at all. This is about
You hear that
freedom
breathing?
of association. It's about constitutional rights. It's about First Amendment rights. We do have the right to still choose who we associate with, but they did not refuse to
refuse to associate myself with you right now.
They did not. Okay, it's
I'm
in the
refusing to
Constitution.
associate
They
myself with
didn't
Carrie.
refuse to bake the cake because of their sexual orientation. In fact, they had baked cakes for them.
all throughout the whole time.
They baked cake for them previously. They had a problem with the actual ceremony because the ceremony is what conflicted with their religious beliefs.
Right,
So
but were they
still have
invited
a
to the
right-
wedding?
Yeah.
No, but they were it was to provide a service. They
Okay,
have
right.
the right.
They didn't. They
Whoopi Goldberg actually had a very good question there. So she's saying it's not about just providing the service or product of a cake to a gay person. It was that they didn't agree with the ceremony, which would be against their religious beliefs, to be partaking in it. And so Whoopi points out, well, were they invited to the wedding? Were they required to go? And Candace said, no, actually, I thought that it was yes. I thought that was what it was all about.
And we talked about this prior on another show.
Yeah.
We honestly believe that there was, and
That they were catering the wedding.
and there was a caterer that you brought up. The pizza
place. The pizza place was a straight couple who doesn't believe in gay marriage because it's against their religious beliefs, who was asked to be hired to go and participate in the wedding by catering it. Of course, that would be unconstitutional to make them provide that service, because now you're asking somebody to violate their religious beliefs by participating in the actual ceremony that is against their religious beliefs. I mean, that's like one step below making a Muslim eat bacon because they're a professional food eater or food taster. Oh, professional! I'm gonna hire you. I need you to taste this bacon. But that's against my... Oh, no. You are not allowed.
You better suck down those strips of succulent bacon.
And here's the funny thing. The only reason that Muslim would get in trouble would be if I, the person hiring them to do it, is gay.
Right. Because if you're another Muslim or a Christian, you couldn't get in trouble for that. One, because you're protected under Muslim law, and two,
Sharia law. Yeah.
Sharia law, and two, as a Christian, you have no laws or rights.
Oh, so anyway, now the cake thing. It sounds to me, if Whoopi's right, that they were just ordered to make the cake. Now, here's where my argument is.
Candace said that they had made cakes for them in the past.
Right, and I believe that the cakes that they made for this gay couple were not for a gay wedding. So, for instance, say a gay couple comes in and says, we're going to celebrate a birthday.
Yes.
Will you make us a birthday cake for our little nephew? He's having his 8th birthday party. By the way, we're gay. It shouldn't be an issue, but we want you to make us a birthday cake to take to our nephew's.
And what I'm saying, by me saying that I'm gay, what I'm trying to tell you is my what I do behind closed doors, physically with my partner.
Okay. So,
I want you to know that.
So for them to refuse that would be discrimination against that particular customer.
Right.
Because it's just a birthday cake, and refusing them that product because of whatever's the religion, sexual orientation, whatever of that customer, that would be wrong in my opinion.
Well,
however, here's where everybody gets it wrong in my opinion. If you go in there, and I don't even care if you're gay, Brian, who's not 100% gay.
Hey, don't judge.
Okay, so let's say he's 100% straight.
Hey, don't judge.
If he goes into a Christian baker shop and says, I want you to make me a cake in the shape of a devil that says, happy gay sodomy day.
Devil sodomy day, right.
And the Christian says, whoa. You want me to put all my heart and soul
right.
into making a anatomically correct devil
right.
that says on there that I support all of this in writing, in icing writing. You want me to perform that? That person, that Christian, should not be made to do that.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. And only you who are listening to us are in on this. So don't spoil it for the rest of the country. But what we're going to do is we're going to organize with a Christian bakery and blow it out of proportion because I want a devil cake made.
There you go. And you're violating my religion of devil worshiping.
I'm a gay Muslim who loves the devil. Devil worshiper.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not popular to support devil worshiping right now. So the whole thing is a big sham because it's so popular.
Oh, the gay thing's popular.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And because they're looked at as this oppressed, protected class.
They won't make me a phallic-shaped cake for my husband's birthday.
Well, there you go. So if you want a cake in the shape of a human male phallic.
Right.
And you're asking a Christian to do it. He doesn't even have to be a Christian. What if you're just like, whoa, dude, that's kind of weird, and I don't want to do that. I'm not into that kind of stuff. Or I don't.
Whoa, are you judging me?
I mean, that's what it boils down to. That's all it boils down to. Yes, it would be wrong for them to refuse service to a person that comes in that orders a normal product because that person might be a certain religion, a certain race, a certain gender, or whatever. I believe that now Brian disagrees with me. Brian thinks that you should be allowed to put no blacks allowed.
The papacy and I.
And it's not racist to say that. That's like the ultimate libertarian freedom view to do that.
Yeah, and currently if you've been keeping in touch with the Pope, him and I are at complete odds when it comes to what capitalism is. And I agree.
He's a communist.
He lost his mind. And I agree 100% with a talk show host named Larry Elder, who brought this to my attention while I was listening to him, that our society is such that if you posted a sign out in front of your store and say, nope, no blacks, whites only, you're going to be out of business.
Larry Elder does hold that position, and he is also a black man.
Oh, yeah.
And he believes that you should be allowed to put a sign out in front of your bar, let's say, or restaurant or whatever, that says whites only, or no blacks allowed, or no Hispanics, or whatever. And if you think about it, theoretically speaking, that should not be an issue because you're telling possible paying customers that we don't want your money. And if you know anything about how money and business works, that would not be a very good business model.
You want to cater to all walks of life.
Right.
Yes.
But there's a difference between theory and practice. So this is where Brian and I are just we could argue for hours about this. In practice, it could be shown, and I believe it has been shown in the past, maybe not so much today, that you could increase your business by showing that kind of attitude towards a minority group, because then the majority could say, I hate black people too, and because that business owner has a no black sign in front of his store, I'm going to reward him by making sure that I pass all the other restaurants to go to his restaurant.
Yeah, but the way the heart of America is not that racist country that people think they are.
Not anymore, but back in... No, I mean...
I didn't want to think we were a racist country
ever.
What
I'm saying, there was a point in time...
There were pockets of racism.
Right. I'm saying there was a point in time in large pockets, let's say the entire southeast of America, where...
Oh, where the Democrats ruled.
Right, where the Democrats were. Okay. That's true. When the Democrats were in charge of the...
KKK.
Southeast and KKK.
Right.
It was a good business model to say whites only.
Correct.
And to make sure that blacks didn't come in or near you and your customer base. And in fact, if a black person were to get into a hotel pool, they were required to drain the whole thing.
Yikes. California wouldn't like that nowadays.
And it's not because there was something wrong with the water. It was because their paying customers refused to go there because they thought that the blacks had contaminated the water.
Yeah, they had some kind of sick, twisted bias.
Right, and these were their customers. It's not like the owner was like, oh my gosh, my water's ruined now. It was more like, oh my gosh, my
customer base is ruined.
My customer base is going to leave and not pay me because they think my pool is contaminated.
Right.
So they end up taking this huge loss in the water bill by refilling the entire pool. And it wasn't just refilling the pool. When they drained it, they had to scrub the sides with soap and water.
Hey, I told you they found a baby Ruth at the pool down the street.
Was it black?
They have a new machine now that runs the water through the machine to clean it.
Oh,
instead of dumping the water.
So you're saying that I'm to believe that the molecules of fecal matter that were in the pool because somebody took a dump in it are now gone?
Yeah, they've been captured in the machine.
What? Do they have a waste treatment plant?
That's what my wife said. She said they took this machine out, hauled it out, rolled it up.
Oh, this isn't part of the filter system.
No, it's just a machine they rolled up to the edge of the pool and said, all right, all y'all got to get out. There's a chocolate bar floating.
Here's a calculus lesson for you. In calculus, we learn that if there's a foreign substance in a closed tank,
Right.
and you begin to drain it while filling it up with a non-contaminated liquid, let's say water contaminated with fecal matter, that if you did that for an infinite amount of time, you will still always have a tiny bit of fecal matter in there. Wow! The only way to remove it is to remove all the water. Like literally, you have a tank, you have one pipe going in and one pipe going out. If you know the flow rate of the new stuff,
Right.
if you know the amount of parts per million of fecal matter that's in the tank,
Right.
you can use calculus
To determine.
to determine how much fecal matter is in the water, is in the tank, given the amount of time that it had been pumping. And if you look at the math, it never reaches zero.
So you're
ever.
telling me there's still doozy-doo in that pool?
It never reaches zero. Now, I will admit, it gets to a point where it's potable water.
And for those of you in Westwood, potable water means drinkable.
Right. But so there will be a point where the parts per million reduces to a point where it's negligible.
So my question is, how many gallons of water does it take to remove every single molecule of paint out of a paint roller?
Oh, well, that would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 155 million gallons.
Okay, fair enough. Because
That
man,
is true. That is absolutely true.
really? What?
Well, have you ever tried to rinse out a
I was
roller?
thinking you were shooting low.
Oh, man. It's only 135 million gallons. You could take that roller and put it in a pool for a year
Oh, man.
and have all the kids play with it underwater. And after a year, you'd still have some paint in that thing.
Yes.
That's why they're disposable.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All right. So anyway, now if you poop on a roller, wow.
Whoa!
And you put it in the pool, that machine will remove all of it.
I'm telling you, it's a high-end, high-tech thing. Jigger.
It's an ozone generator.
Yeah.
It generates ozone,
Okay.
and it will completely clean out all the water.
Oh, man.
I'll tell you what, they really have those people brainwashed. If they think they could put some machine in the water for a couple minutes, pull it out and say that baby Ruth is good to go.
Maybe it was a show. Just for show.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just,
There wasn't nothing in there.
They just told everybody, if you have a guy, we know this is a well-documented fact. If a guy in a white lab coat says something, you might as well be God himself
Right.
saying whatever. And people will believe it like you wouldn't believe. I mean, that's why I get in these arguments on the comment sections of YouTube videos. Oh,
Very true.
oh my goodness. But anyway, so what other topics we got?
You want to talk about...
Ariana?
oh, yeah.
Pop culture.
Pop culture.
Ding, ding, ding.
Second hour will be pop culture.
Oh, y'all.
Oh, so this woman who I was introduced... Now, I have a young
I don't know
daughter.
her. See, I don't even
I
know
have a young
her.
daughter,
Right.
and back when my daughter was very young...
I couldn't even pronounce her name. I don't know.
Well, back in the day, my daughter we had cable. My daughter would watch the Disney Channel, and there was this show on. I think it was something Justice or whatever. But Ariana Grande played a girl that was her best friend. She was like a supporting role, and she kind of stole the show. And then, even though she was only a supporting actress, and then she went on to have a very good singing career, and her name is Ariana Grande, and that's what she does. She has a lot of songs out. You probably heard, if you turn on like your local pop radio station, you've probably heard a dozen of her songs. So she's very, very, very popular among teenagers and maybe early 20s. And so this weekend, she was at a donut shop. And apparently this donut shop, I mean, have you ever heard of this? Have you ever gone into a donut shop where they had trays of donuts sitting within inches on top of the counter right where the customers are?
See,
you could be breathing.
Yeah,
what if somebody sneezes?
Yeah, the problem with that is they should be in health violations right there. The government should come down on that donut shop.
And I have something, I have news about that too.
No.
Yes.
Well, break it off.
All right, well, here's what happened. So Ariana Grande, she there was nobody at the counter. She was waiting to be helped, and she was with a couple of her backup dancers hanging out. And she thought she'd be silly. And while nobody was looking, even though there were cameras on her, surveillance cameras, she decided to lick one of the donuts in the tray.
And then spit. She actually...
It looked like she spit, but I think it was her tongue. I looked at the video a couple times.
Yeah.
She sticks her tongue out just a little bit, and she does it really fast. And so it looks, just like that. Brian's actually demonstrating.
Okay.
But at first glance, I thought the same thing you thought.
Because people were saying she spitting.
Spit on it.
Right.
It looked like she spit on it, but if you look at it closer, she just does the real quick bloop with her tongue just in, out, real quick, or out, in. So anyway, she licks it, and then the person comes out, and I think they were monitoring her on the surveillance camera. So they already knew when they came out that she had licked it. So they got rid of the tray, presumably threw away the donuts, brought on another tray, and she was appalled by all the donuts and said she hates America. And she hates Americans.
Yeah.
Because, and we find out later, that she was appalled at the donuts that lead to the obesity of Americans. And I'm like, first of all, what the hell are you doing in a donut shop, lady?
That's who it was. Raven Simone. That's So Raven. It was a show. That was the girl on The View. Sorry, folks. It just hit me.
Yeah. Now I know how I've recognized her.
That's So Raven.
Well,
this goes along with our daughters and
yeah, okay.
That's that child actor stuff.
So here's the breaking news. It's not that breaking if you pay any attention to whatever the news coming out. Turns out the health inspectors decided to downgrade that donut shop from an A to a B.
Oh no.
Well, the owner was so mad and said, I can't believe this. I can't believe Ariana Grande did this to me. Blah. And I'm like, whoa.
Nobody did nothing to you, man.
You did it.
Yeah.
You did it. And here's why. The health inspector defended their decision by saying that the reason we downgrade them from an A to a B is because they failed to provide the proper barrier between their food and the public.
Yes.
If she's able
to lick a donut.
And literally, she stuck her tongue out less than an inch, and she was able to lick a donut.
Right.
That would be presumably for sale at some point.
Right. And there was trays. There were like 2 or 3 trays, donuts all over the top of the counter.
It's not like Ariana Grande dove over the counter, opened up a cabinet, shoved her head in, and started chowing down or licking or spitting or whatever. His donut shop did the things that led to them being downgraded to a B. So congratulations. And by the way, if you're in the vicinity and you go there, it is a B. It's legit, and it's not Ariana Grande.
So, if you are the owner of that shop, you might want to rethink how you display food. There's a reason why there's glass,
exactly.
So that the customers can see it and not molest it.
And she actually, it might be worse than molesting. Well, is there a word that's one step higher than molesting? Because she licked it. That's like, I mean, there's one thing to molest somebody, but when you lick them...
So she raped a donut?
Well, now, see, you went 2 steps. There's an intermediate step between molest and rape that she definitely fell in that category with regards to that donut.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
Okay. Fair enough. So for our pop culture, I'd say got this thing that I've been wanting to talk about. Megyn Kelly, who has her own show, The Kelly File, on Fox News, was rated one of the best shows for all of 2014 or something of that nature. She won some kudos for having such an incredible show, and that came out about 2 weeks ago.
Well, good for her, because she is something else.
Yeah, no, she definitely deserves it. Well, this week, last week we told you about there's a woman who, her name is Kate Stiegel, in San Francisco with her father and her mother, and they were walking on the boardwalk, and an illegal, it's not an illegal immigrant, an illegal criminal from another country who had been deported multiple times, for some rhyme or reason, nobody's talking about this. I can't wrap my head around it. Why did this guy just walk up, randomly kill a white woman? I don't get that.
I know, it's almost like he was hired to do so.
Yeah.
Like, is there a motive?
Nobody's talking about motive. Nobody's talking about anything. But she was laid to rest this week. And Donald Trump, we've got him in this stack of stuff. He was very outspoken about this, but she was laid to rest this week, and Megyn Kelly opened her show with like a montage, if you will, where she talked about everything going on. And let me play that real quick for you, and then we'll comment on that. It's a little long, it's about 2 minutes, but it's really, really good.
Okay.
Breaking tonight, the young woman gunned down by an illegal immigrant in San Francisco was just laid to rest, surrounded by friends and family. It does not appear at this hour that anyone from the Obama administration was in attendance. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. Funeral services were held this evening for 32-year-old Catherine Steinle. Her loved ones remembering her as an avid traveler who loved connecting with people until her life was cut short a week ago. That's when Kate was shot and killed while in her father's arms. Police say by this man, Francisco Sanchez, an illegal immigrant who had been deported 5 times from this country and had racked up a string of felonies while in the U.S. The San Francisco sheriff had Sanchez in custody as recently as April, but released him pursuant to San Francisco's sanctuary city policy, where they have rules against handing over anyone to the feds who might be deported. This sheriff, himself a convicted criminal, says he stands by the city's policy. Kate's murder has since exploded into a national debate on illegal immigrants, sanctuary cities, and crime, with the White House ducking the issue of its own acquiescence in these cities' decision to flout the federal immigration laws, which were duly enacted. When asked repeatedly this week to speak to this case, White House spokesman Josh Earnest declined to weigh in, other than to refer folks to the Department of Homeland Security. A stark contrast to what we saw after Michael Brown was killed in Ferguson, Missouri. A man we now know was attacking a police officer at the time of his death. His funeral saw 3 Obama officials in attendance. His death drew comments from President Obama personally, and the administration also sent in the DOJ and 40 FBI agents dispatched to Missouri after Michael Brown was killed. Where is the swarm of agents in San Francisco? Then there was Freddie Gray in Baltimore, a repeat drug offender who was killed in police custody. Here again, his funeral was attended by 3 Obama administration officials. And again, the president spoke personally to Freddie Gray's death, and again sent the DOJ in to investigate. When Trayvon Martin was killed in Florida, the president spoke to his death, which was later ruled to be in self-defense. But Kate Steinle? Nothing. No comments. No swarm of FBI agents, no DOJ investigation, nothing. Why?
Well, I'll tell you this. Obama, first and foremost, is wrong about everything.
Has he been right about... Hold on, let's give him a break. Has he been correct about anything?
Please call in to let us know. Somebody let us know. I mean, I don't know. I can't think of anything. I mean, can you think of anything he was right about?
Well,
he's not right about the employment numbers.
Well, he's right in the fact that his actions with Freddie Gray, his actions with The Gentle Giant, his actions with Trayvon Martin. He's right in the sense that he is able to inflame the black community.
Oh, so if you look at it as what is he doing here, and what is the purpose of the words that he says, and what are the purpose of deciding whether or not to speak at all? It's all about inciting, inflaming, fanning flames, or dumping gasoline on the fire.
Right. I mean, look at those statistics that she threw out there. I mean, for each one of those so-called incidents, which turned out to be criminals involved with cops, white cop, or even in the sense of the one who was in police custody and died.
Oh, yeah.
It was a black female that gave him the rough ride.
Oh, okay. I mean, and that's the thing.
And then we want to talk about that.
Right, and it's like...
it's not about race, but he's making it about race.
Well,
it's not about race.
There's a very, very complicated dynamic that or relationship between what people consider white and what people consider or what people think of policemen, policewomen. It's weird. I mean, did you remember that video I sent you of that guy, that young black guy just ranting? And he said something to the effect of, well, when white people, and then he said, no, I'm not even going to say that. When police are killing, So it's like, it's interesting that he could replace his label of white people with police. I mean, it's not like he was correcting himself totally. He was just kind of refining it.
When you have the president of the United States of America, which used to be the strongest, most respected country in the world, hands down, used to be. When he goes to India last week and in front of the world makes a statement, it says, there were moments in my life where I've been treated differently because of the color of my skin. He said this to the world on a world stage.
Well, first of all, he's not the brightest person when it comes to, like, he knows politics and all the social issues in America, but his extrapolating his personal issues, his race issues to the world just sounds so dumb because it doesn't apply. Like, black people in Great Britain, I'm talking British black people, they don't get treated or looked at or even behave anything like the dynamic between whites and blacks in America.
Because the leader of this country, the black leaders, the race baiters, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, Obama, you can now throw him into that, because if he doesn't become dictator and he does step down from his bully pulpit and becomes a common citizen, however, he'd still be the former president, he will join the ranks of Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so that is what's going to happen. He even put out a warning this week that that's what's going to happen.
Doesn't it seem to you, like it does to me, that it's got to be awful silly sounding to be in a country that is almost completely full of very dark-skinned people? And by the way, the second most populous country in the world behind China is India. So he goes to India, where almost everybody is very dark-skinned, and he's talking about...
I mean, you don't have very many... I mean, I would think the white population of India would be less than... It would be single-digit percentages.
Yeah, and it would be just a foreigner. Or somebody... I mean, very few... I would say very few Indian citizens that are actually white. It would be somebody who's either naturalized or completely foreign or whatever. But it's got to sound silly to them to be dark-skinned and to hear him talk about the way he's mistreated because of the color of his skin, because they probably don't deal with that at all in India,
Right.
Like, wait, you live in a place where they treat you poorly because of the color of your skin? And look, don't talk about my country that way, Obama, because deal with your issues with the infighting between races in America. Don't go out and start airing dirty laundry in other countries. If there are problems, we can deal with them. Don't go around talking about how bad the white people are in America to India.
Right.
It's insulting. It's just so insulting. So anyway.
Yeah, it would have to be maybe 1%, if that. I'm looking here, and Wikipedia's got 97% of India. Yeah, I mean,
well, we got off a little bit on a tangent,
right.
But
it would be a fraction of percent. But the whole thing
very,
is
very tiny.
It is absolutely, and I want to try and deal with the racism that's being perceived as a major issue in America.
Well, let's say it is. Why the hell does that need to be brought up in a speech to India? I mean, you got to know your audience, and he clearly doesn't. He looks like such a buffoon, and I'm not saying he's a buffoon in general. I'm sure if I ever met Obama and got to spend a couple of hours with him and like actually have conversations with him, I'm sure
if he would talk to you because of the color of your skin.
Yeah, he would definitely. I would definitely have to overcome the racism of Obama because of the fact that I'm not the right color. But once I overcame that and somehow convinced him that it's okay to talk to me for a couple hours, I would find that he's probably a very sharp person. It's I just find the lack of intellectual creativity, or just for him to not realize that he's speaking to an audience that doesn't exist in India. It's just really disappointing to know that your president is not only not smart enough to figure that out, but also disappointing to know that your own president that's supposed to be representing you as an American citizen is throwing you under the bus to another country because of my skin color. I mean, what happened to all the things that Martin Luther King Jr. was teaching back in the day? I mean, the very people that he was representing are now completely ignoring everything that he taught.
Right.
Which is to not judge people based on their skin color, but rather the content of their character. And that is the opposite of everything that's going on today with Obama and all of his racist, anti-white, anti-American followers and minions.
Without a doubt. Real quick before we move on, I just want to let you know, according to recent released federal documents, immigration deputies have released 30,862 illegal immigrant criminals onto the streets of our nation from October 2013 to October 2014.
Well, I'll tell you this. San Francisco has blood on their hands. They released, and I know...
This guy had been captured multiple times, and he was in custody. And even Megyn Kelly said that the sheriff is a former criminal himself. I didn't know you could be a convicted criminal and become sheriff.
Actually, sheriff is an elected position. So you could
you could be Marion Barry doing crack cocaine and be reelected mayor of Washington, D.C. from prison.
From prison.
From his second term, reelection in prison for crack cocaine.
So he
reelected.
So it was like Shawshank Redemption when he was in the hole. Like when he was darkened
in the bucket. Right.
Yeah, he was in the hole, and they slid open that little plate and said, "Hey, just thought I'd let you know the kid passed. The kid passed.
He won re-election.
Yeah, you won re-election." And he's like, he's got all the scruffy face. He hasn't shaved in 2 weeks because he's been in the hole the whole time. And he looks up because the only light that casts on him is out of that little hole that they slid open the little plate. And he goes, with a little smile on his face. He can't even muster the energy to do more than that because he's been deprived of light and sustenance.
Right. So less than 1% of the 12 million illegal criminals if you are in another country without
their
permission,
yeah,
you are a criminal because you've broken their laws.
Well, if you really take it step by step, if they have a law and you break it, then you broke the law, and therefore you're a criminal.
Correct. So 1% of the 12 million illegal criminals living in the United States were sent back to their country during this period. Obama is intent on keeping as many illegals in this country as he can to vote Democrat, even if they're criminals. But that's the problem. Not most sinister reasons Obama is keeping these criminals around. Washington, D.C. this week is pushing to allow undocumented workers to vote.
Well, of course they are.
Democrats are pushing it
if
already.
You're a Democrat,
they're not even. Russia's talked about this, that Obama will make illegals all legal and then say they should vote. No. They're jumping. They're putting the cart before the horse, and they're trying to get them to vote before they're even legal.
Right. And, I'm supposed to be really sick to my stomach hearing that. But nothing that these people, and by these people I mean the communists that are in charge now, but are always fighting for more and more and more and more and more power until it becomes the dictatorship that we saw in the 30s in Germany.
Right.
But that wasn't a communist dictatorship. But, at the end of the day, if you stop and think about it, what communism really is some people's best way to come as close to dictatorship as possible. Because what it is communists have already resigned themselves, okay, I'm never going to have enough power to be the next Hitler. I just don't have it in me. However, if I can grab hold of communism, I can use that as the tool to get as close as possible.
Wow.
That's what it is.
So we'll slowly take a country like America who's free, and we'll slowly dangle the carrot out there to the poor people, money, free food, free stuff.
Get them to vote out the freedom and
vote
capitalism.
Vote out the other party, because we'll make the other party look horrible.
Yeah, and by other party, I guess it could be anything. It could be another party that's also trying to take freedoms from you. But it just so happens that these people have decided to use communism as their vehicle to get to as close as they can to dictatorship.
The very next step, though, would be to implement full-fledged implementation of socialism.
Which we've crossed that bridge.
Yeah, we're there.
We're way past that
bridge.
So
once the country, because socialism is like a lukewarm feeling, because if you went straight from freedom to communism, the shock and awe you probably couldn't accept it. It'd be like throwing the toad in a boiling pot of water. However,
I just wanted to point out, Karl Marx actually wrote that going straight to communism would only be possible through extremely despotic inroads.
Right. You would literally have, if you had a country that had no guidance, no leadership, just in complete and utter disarray, you could implement communism.
Or, like in America, one little tiny piece at a time until you look around and you realize, we're a communist nation.
Right. The toad in the water, and you slowly warm it up all the way till it's boiling, and he'll never jump out.
And the alternative, if you go fast, is what you see in other countries that required gulags and death camps, which is why Mao Zedong, Mao and Stalin had to murder so many hundreds of thousands and millions of people. Everybody talks about how many millions of people Hitler killed. Well, he has nothing on Stalin and Mao. And what they did was they tried to just say, all right, we're communists. And as Karl Marx pointed out, despotic inroads. And by doing so, caused a lot of people to say, hey, well, I don't want this. Well, that's where the death camps and re-education camps come from. And that's why so many people died under the rule of those two killers. It was all about communism. And for those of you that are like, what are these guys talking about, all this communist stuff? I don't know any communists. I don't know of anybody that's in charge or anybody that comes on TV or is even talked about that's a communist. Well, let me just point out to all you people in Westwood, if they are a Democrat that is pushing for socialism, anybody supporting socialism, rhinos, Republicans in name only, who advocate for or push or support either socialism or the lack of attempting to remove socialist policies, all of them are, I guess, de facto communists, because if you read the communist websites out there, they will tell you that socialism is just the road required to get to communism. Socialism is not a destination. It is the path that has a destination, and that destination is communism. So there are people out there that are communists. Like, for example, Obama was raised as a red diaper baby.
Yes.
And please Google that. Red diaper babies are when you have two parents who are complete card-carrying communists who decide to raise their children as communists. That is Obama.
His best friends and everyone he's put in power that are very close to him, that have a lot of power in the government, are all card-carrying communists.
Yeah, they're communists. Now, the reason you never hear about it is because it is of utmost importance to them that they don't ever get labeled that.
Well, and they've changed words too to call themselves progressive.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm glad you pointed that out. I almost glossed over the most important thing. The word progressive is a 100% exact synonym of communism. It's just a word change.
Yeah, the definition of it's synonym.
So when you hear, "Oh, I'm a progressive," they are actually not sort of like a communism. They are actually a full-blown communist.
Right.
Period.
I was looking for the quote from Stalin where he made the comment that way back in the day that we will eventually take over America one piece at a time.
That was
wasn't Stalin.
Khrushchev.
Khrushchev said that. Right.
Yeah, Khrushchev said that.
A little bit at a time, to where all of a sudden they'll wake up one day, look around, and they're full-blown communism.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Right.
while searching for that, I came across something that Joseph Stalin wrote.
Okay.
America is like a healthy body, and its resistance is threefold. It's patriotism, its morality, and its spiritual life. If we can undermine these three areas, America will collapse from within.
Well, and you know what? Not only was he right, but the communists...
We're witnessing it.
The communists of the past 100 years or so have implemented an attack plan to do just that. And at this point, I can safely say to you people, unfortunately, it's been very successful. And proving Joseph Stalin correct. He was right. He was absolutely right. It's and I'm not saying that there's a group of people out there, shadowy individuals of in some sort of a secret society who have this conspiracy going and they're just following Joseph Stalin's plan. It's just the ideology. It's an ideology of a group. It's like a set of beliefs that constitutes communism that is shared by a lot of people. You know, I got accused online this week, all week, by this one guy that he said, "Show me this conspiracy theory where people are trying to institute communism in America. Show me the proof. Show me who is in charge of that. Who is issuing the orders, and why are so many people going along with it?" I mean, how do you respond to that? Oh yeah, he was like, he thinks that the only way that you can implement the communism that we're talking about in America is if you had everybody on board. All the people at all the different departments will all have to be like, yes, I agree to implement communism in America, and you have to have some sort of a central authority to send the orders down. And I'll just refer to you to Rush Limbaugh, who said you will never find orders from Hitler that come down and says exterminate 6 million Jews or any Jews.
Right. Well, and you'll never find the orders of Obama calling down the IRS to come down on conservatives. You'll never see the words.
And the reason why is because people have been put into power by Obama who already know the marching orders. They don't have to be told what to do. Obama knows that these people know what to do because he knows that they're communists. That's all you need to know. As soon as you find out somebody is a leftist, a progressive, a communist, whatever you want to call it, you put them in power and you already know what they're going to do.
And now I'll take a sidestep on that. If you are a business owner, if you want to do something of great importance, whether it be own a business, run a business, be successful.
Make a gay wedding cake?
You could do that too.
Okay.
And if you want to do that, you have to do a little bit of different implementations to make that correct. Or if you want to be the greatest athlete there ever was, Lance Armstrong not included. If you want to do something...
You could be a greatest athlete.
You could.
All you need is the right stuff.
You need the juice.
Anyway, go ahead.
So, but the whole point is, what a successful leader, because you're the leader, you're the one who is the leader, and you will surround yourself with the pieces of the puzzle that you don't possess that you need to complete that whole mission, if you will. So you're gonna find other people who share your mission, who share your dream, and are willing participant to be a part of that to help see that dream come true, whether it be being a star athlete, whether it be being a business owner. You're going to have administrators. You're going to have people that will do things for you when you're not around and continue to do them. And you've got to trust them, and they'll trust you. In the communist world, it's identical.
Yeah, and
we want to implement this religion called communism.
Right, and I'll give you an example. If you don't understand what we're talking about after all of this, let's really simplify it. If you listen to the song by John Lennon called Imagine, and you listen to all the lyrics, and you listen to them carefully, and you say, yeah, you know what? That would be pretty awesome to imagine, to have a world like he describes in the song Imagine. Then you are effectively a minion of those in charge of the communist conspiracy.
Yes.
And it's to call it a conspiracy is just is a misnomer, because it's, like I said, there's no central authority, there's no orders. It's just this belief in an unobtainable utopia. And I use the word unobtainable because that's the key word missing, which is why people follow it so much. They think it's obtainable.
They want to recreate the Garden of Eden on Earth. And they believe they possess the power to convince you that they can do it. And in the meantime, they'll be living a lifestyle of luxury where, as Obama spends, $500,000 a night in a hotel type of thing.
Right, that's what it boils down to.
He is living in the utopia that he's trying to sell you on.
Well, you prop it up with your tax dollars,
right?
So everybody works for the elites in charge in a real communist society. That's what, and they talk about. Rush says it the best. He says communism has spread more poverty around the world than anything else. That's what it does. Communism spreads poverty. That's basically what it boils down to.
And for our dear papacy to say otherwise is insanity.
What did he say? I mean,
I looked for the soundbite. I couldn't find it because but
well, I mean, he would he have said it in English? I mean, I'm sure he speaks in a lot of different languages, but he's trying
to. Where'd I file that away? Oh, I filed that away with Liberal Communist News. So, in Paraguay, the Pope, during his speeches, can blend biblical fury with apocalyptic doom. Pope Francis does not just criticize the excesses of global capitalism. He compares them to the dung of the devil. He does not simply argue that systematic greed for money is a bad thing. He calls it a subtle dictatorship that condemns and enslaves men and women.
Lol, because socialism doesn't do that.
No, communism does that, according to the papacy.
It's. Can you walk me through? I'm not. This is a hypothetical. I'm not.
Or rhetorical? Is this rhetorical?
This is.
Or you really want me to walk you?
No, because you won't be able to. But
because I know some friends that they get these dog leashes and the collars.
Whoa.
Hey, that's legal now, man.
Oh, it's legal.
Come on, it's legal.
So anyway, no, I'd like somebody to walk me through how a capitalist society, did you say enslaves?
Enslaves men and women.
Yeah, please walk me through the mechanism of capitalism that results in the enslavement of people. And also, can you provide me some empirical examples?
And I wonder if the Pope is coming out saying these crazy things. It blew me away because I honestly thought, and I fell for it, the media was upset when this Pope was being brought through the chain because the media claimed that this Pope was conservative and would be changing the church to a new way. And then all of a sudden, a couple years into it, he was poor, lived in poverty, and lived a very common life. He drove a beat-up old jalopy to the papacy when he was elected. He drove himself.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a very humble individual. However, I'm starting to see that humility doesn't mean that you're not misguided. You can be humble.
Right.
But you can be completely wrong and misguided at the same time. Wow.
Which is apparently the case.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, some of the excuses I heard was that, okay, this is a guy that lived his entire life in Europe. And in Europe, they have this quasi communist light socialism type thing where they're trying to, like, they don't want to go full blown communist dictatorship, but they like communism enough to go ahead and pretty much do the whole entire redistribution of wealth. And he lived his entire life in this, and for us to hear him use the language that he did was
he has the wrong definition of capitalism and has been taught that what he has been taught that what he is seeing is called capitalism. But it's wrong, because what he is seeing and what he thinks capitalism is communism. That's what he's seeing is communism. It's a different language. Maybe the language barrier.
Is lost in translation.
Yeah.
Well, if you say capitalism enslaves people, obviously you're like, whoa. What's your definition of capitalism again?
And where did you get the slavery part?
Yeah, I don't know what the heck you're talking about.
So let's bring up an example. This week there was an article that was written, 20 Years of Cleaning Up New York City. You know how I'm into titles. And it really grabbed me. This one grabbed me. Title of this article, 20 Years of Cleaning Up New York City. Pissed away.
Uh-oh. So it's going back to the way it was in the 70s?
There was a picture of a homeless man. This was the picture on the article. Huge. Homeless man standing in the middle of 4 lanes of traffic, urinating on not on the street, in the middle of the street.
So he didn't find like something to like a wall or something to block.
No. So
glad somebody with a camera was there to capture that.
Yeah, no kidding. So Mark Verito in April announced plans to decriminalize public urination, along with 5 other.
Are you serious?
This is what the Democrats.
Well, I mean, if you got to go, you got to go.
Right. This is what the Democrats are doing, along with 5 other low-level offenses: biking on the sidewalk, public consumption of alcohol, being in the park after dark, failure to obey a parking sign, and jumping the turnstiles in the subway. He wants to decriminalize all of these things, which
add to the chaos
criminals love.
Well, yeah, I mean, every part of that.
Okay,
is...
drinking in the park after dark, having to urinate while you're drinking in the park after dark.
So you could actually do all this stuff almost at the same time, barring jumping the subway gates.
Well, you might have to jump the turnstile
in order to get there.
Okay, you took your car, ran out of gas, and you parked in a no parking zone. So they're
decriminalizing. Are you kidding me?
Failure to
what
obey.
What if you park in front of somebody's driveway?
Failure to obey a parking sign.
So you're saying parking in a no parking zone,
right? So I let the car roll in a no parking zone. I find the nearest subway. I jump the turnstiles because I don't have any money.
Yeah.
No, I spent it all on the beer.
You certainly didn't spend it on gas.
Yeah, I got $2.30. I put $5 in gas and I put $50 in beer. Right.
Well, because it was a mistake. You wanted $50 in gas and $5 in beer,
and they told me I couldn't return it. Yeah, you can't return that.
So now you're stuck with all this beer and no gas.
Right. So and I got to meet
and no money.
Right. And I don't have a place to live, but I know I can be in the park after dark.
But you could have a place to live, but you drove so far away you can't even walk back. So
That's
you got to
right.
jump on the subway to get to the park.
Jump the turnstiles to get on the subway.
You need someplace to sleep.
Right. So I get to the park. I find a couple of benches.
Okay.
Sprawl all my stuff out. Start drinking and urinating everywhere.
Well, at some point in
it's got to mark my territory.
Well, if you drink $50 worth of beer, at some point you are going to, you're going to need to go for real.
And if you ever, you've got to follow us on Facebook.
But
folks.
you forgot. Where are we riding the bike on the sidewalk though?
My buddy.
I got it. Drinking a beer on your bike on the sidewalk while peeing off to the side.
That's amazing.
In the park.
In the park.
After dark.
After dark.
Yeah. Now, can you do
Done.
like one of those ollies over the turnstile?
You can
on your bike while peeing?
Well, but do you have the 30-pack in a backpack, or are you holding it?
Oh, it's one of those camel packs with beer in it, or liquor, or whatever. And you're drinking it on a bike, jumping the turnstile while urinating in the park.
Correct.
Wait, is that even possible?
Correct.
In the park, and it's got to be after dark.
So Police Commissioner Bill Bratton, which we all know, who in the early 90s implemented a broken windows approach to policing to dramatically cut crime.
Let me hear this. Do you know the broken windows theory is a mathematical... It's worse than the perpetual motion machine.
Okay.
But anyway, let's hear it.
Bill Bratton and Mayor Rudy Giuliani did a phenomenal job with New York City. Rudy Giuliani is part and parcel part of the GOP. He's
a Republican.
You know what? He is a Republican.
There you go.
And so is John McCain.
But you know what? I will give Giuliani this, though.
Phenomenal.
He implemented in the largest city in the world at the time and the most deadly city in the world. It was like what Chicago is today.
Correct.
Back in the 60s, mostly the 70s and early 80s. Like, you couldn't even see a wall without it being covered in graffiti.
Right.
I mean, it was like that movie, that video, Beat It by Michael Jackson. Like, literally, like that was New York City back in the 70s and 80s. But anyway, so Giuliani
and Bill
implemented
right.
like responsible.
He is all out 100%. We support the police force. We support the cops.
Right. He did it by growing the police force.
The police have a role to serve the people. We want. I think he started bringing back like the beat cops just to have a walking presence of cops. When you have cops that are just around, you feel more secure. I'm going to relate this to it. I'm going to get back to the whole thing. But when I lived in L.A., I never, ever, ever was ever in fear of being pulled over by a cop for a speeding ticket ever.
Because?
There ain't none.
There you go.
I'd been pulled over. Matter of fact, I was pulled over one time. The cop asked what was I doing in this part of town. I said, "Well,
boy,
I told him,
you're in the wrong neighborhood."
I told him, I said, I'm getting gas. It was a place where I could get diesel. He looked at me and he said, "You need to find another place to buy diesel.
Why?
This is not a place for you to be in." I said, 7 o'clock in the morning. He said, "It is very dangerous here, regardless of the time."
So I'm pretty impressed that he did that for you. I mean, that's protecting and serving right there.
There's another cop in the middle of the night that did a U-turn with no headlights on and almost hit me, and I blared my horn at him. He stopped. I rolled the window down. I started screaming at him, and he started screaming back at me. We were in this shouting match in the middle of the street at like 11:30 at night, and I was blowing up on him, telling him I almost killed him. I was going to run him over because he had no headlights on. He was doing a U-turn in front of me.
Okay.
And his final words back were, "You better get home. You're going to give yourself a heart attack."
He said that
and
to
he drove
you?
off. Yeah. So you better calm down. Go home. You're going to give yourself a heart attack. Drove off.
Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here, folks.
Oh, man.
I was never in fear of... Now, I will digress. If you go to Long Beach, California, where the Port of Los Angeles is, very clean, very safe. You don't screw around there. Cops are hard. You don't see any graffiti.
Really?
At all. And I will give it up. The gay community has moved in and taken over the city in the sense that their mission and their goal is to beautify the city.
Well, I was going to say, I'm not going to prejudge them or anything like that.
They've done a great job because the police force is out. They like to be safe. They like to have a clean neighborhood.
Clean, yeah, very clean.
Which I'm
if
with. If
you've ever been in a gay person's house, which...
OCD?
I've never.
No, but OCD comes to mind. So, but a lot of police are on the street, and like a parking ticket is a couple $100 for violations. I mean, you just...
So basically you're saying you got to just put the hammer down.
Oh, and if you get... Oh, that was the big thing. The number one thing was if you are caught drinking and driving in the city of Long Beach, minimum, you're going to spend $3,000 to $4,000
because
minimum.
Of like the court costs,
all the courts,
stuff.
All the fees, first time offense. You're probably going to go to jail. You're probably going to got to go through rehab. It is insanity. Which cut down on the riffraff. Snoop Dogg, LBC, Long Beach, Compton. That's where Long Beach City. That's where he's from. They moved further north to Compton.
Oh, because of the bringing the hammer down on the laws and stuff like that.
Right.
And that's what Giuliani did in New York City to clean it up. And
right.
I'll tell you what, I can't even begin to it's hard for me to give you the picture of just how bad it was up until Giuliani took over and the amazing turnaround he did. I mean, nobody in their right mind would be caught after dark anywhere in New York City or dare at any hour to go on the subway.
Black woman by the name of Tawana Brawley was walking through Central Park in the evening.
Central Park, that's another one.
Right.
You couldn't go to Central Park.
She was brutally raped in Central Park and blamed a white guy for it. Al Sharpton found a white guy, put him on trial. The white guy was exonerated, turned around, sued Al Sharpton for defamation, because the girl finally came out and said, no, it wasn't that white guy. It was a black guy. Sorry.
But, okay, so she falsely accused.
So the guy won $20 million lawsuit against Al Sharpton for the defamation. Al Sharpton never paid it, ran for president. His buddies passed around the hat, did a collection, paid it for him so he can run for president.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I can't hate on somebody for... If you're stupid enough to pay somebody's fine for them, then you know what? Whatever.
So Bill Braxton is completely against this new plan, saying such offenses lead to more serious crimes, which is duh. There's a gentleman that they introduced. This is all from the New York Post, by the way. Bill Caprizi, who lives there, 38. He lives on 82nd Street with his 6-year-old daughter, was appalled by the street urinator. They gave him a name. They called him a urinator.
Well, you have to label people.
Of course.
So, right. Like a birther or whatever. So this guy, and I'm not talking about people that give birth in public.
Whatever. Okay, but this guy is a little bit slight. This will give you some insight to New Yorkers. He says it's obviously a failure of government. It's a total abject failure. The mayor could fix it. The governor could fix it.
Maybe if they put a porta potty right in the middle of the street.
We need asylums.
Oh.
We need to bring back asylums.
You know, it's interesting. I was talking to somebody the other day about how back in the day, 50s and earlier, if you had a family member that was clearly insane, which is a minority, not a very tiny fraction of the population would be considered clinically insane. But there are insane people out there. And it was the insane asylums that got such a bad rep because of the crazy, stupid stuff they were doing back in the 50s and 40s that ended up abolishing all that.
Google lobotomy.
Yeah, they were removing parts of their brain. They were trying to treat these people.
Full frontal lobotomy and a movie?
The electroshock therapy.
Right. So a movie that would be required viewing to continue along with our show would be One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Right. That would be your typical... the thing that ended up happening was there was abuses, physical abuses.
Sure.
If you look at the nurse in that movie was like a militant, drill instructor.
Now, we're not saying the movie was imitation of real life. I don't know. We're not basing our historical facts on film.
And we've talked about that. We don't do that. We know people do. But just to give you an illustration of what it may look like.
When you're beat by Nurse Ratchet.
But it is a fact that they did
Nurse
do...
Hatchet. Nurse Hatchet. Or is it Nurse Ratchet?
I can't remember
Hatchet.
which one.
I think it's Hatchet.
So, but they did do lobotomies, and they did do electroshock therapy, and there was probably some abuses. What I would advocate for is to bring back asylums that are safe, make it so that they can't escape from them, but not make it look like a prison, and don't have the abuses. Don't try to treat them by removing parts of their brain or electrocuting them and all that. And I think make it more like assisted living, kind of like nursing homes for people that are too old to live in a house by themselves, like our grandparents, because you get to a certain age, you can't even take care of yourself, or let alone your house. Have insane asylums that are like that. I think that would be very beneficial to society.
Okay, so Urban Dictionary has Ratchet, which it's not Nurse Ratchet. It has to be Nurse Hatchet. Because a Ratchet is a diva, mostly from urban cities and ghettos, that has reason to believe she is every man's eye candy. Unfortunately, she's wrong. Typical signs to be aware of include, but not are limited to, owning a BlackBerry.
Wait a minute. How old is this definition?
Blair's Anything by Drake, 2 Chainz, Nicki Minaj, Gucci Mane, Waka Flocka, Lil Wayne, T-Pain, Cali Swag, or any other garbage entertainer rapper. Readily has quotes from their lyrics from all those artists. They quote the lyrics on. Has a weave reminiscent of a bird's nest after a tempest hit the tree it was in, and is dying at least thrice.
I have no idea. So you're saying that this definition is not entirely encompassing, but very close to somebody like Michelle Obama?
Right. Repeatedly uses ludicrous terms such as YOLO, swag, boost, beaks, dough, really, nah, actually, twerk, coast, daga.
Okay, so maybe not Michelle Obama.
Has side bangs. I don't know what side bangs
Oh, I've seen those before.
Side bangs.
I've seen those, yeah.
It's just despite having incredibly small forehead.
What?
To support them.
Who writes this
are
stuff?
Commonly.
Is this in the Webster dictionary?
No, this is Urban.
I know.
Okay.
So somebody wrote a dissertation.
Right.
Somebody wrote a thesis.
So when somebody says, "What's a ratchet?" you now know.
Yes.
Thanks to Spreak.
If you are listening, and I did not know until you brought that up to me.
I worked with a couple of guys that we're friends with, and the word ratchet was thrown out.
Well, because you have a ratchet set, right? Sockets.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I said ratchet. What's a ratchet? What's a
And he told you.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's Nurse Hatchet. But do you remember the MTV?
The MTV? I think I vaguely have a memory of that.
Did you know they're still on the air?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I imagine, but not in the way that we remember when we were
The
kids.
only TV channel that doesn't do anything that is related to their name. Like Fox News, CNN News, the Discovery Channel, the Learning Channel, the History Channel.
Definitely not the Learning Channel anymore.
No. Well, maybe
No.
if you're doing a study on urban life.
No, it's a woman's channel now.
They got a new documentary out.
Uh-oh. Do they? I haven't. It's been a long time.
MTV will air a show later this month entitled White People, which shows young white Americans crying on camera over their white privilege and publicly shaming them for what they've done to America. No, this is no joke. The documentary is hosted by a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, Jose Antonio Vargas, an illegal criminal immigrant and amnesty activist who has worked for the Washington Post and the Huffington Post. This by Right Wing News. So would you like to hear the trailer to this new show?
I don't, but I think we should.
Okay, this is for information purposes. And
I'm trying not to let the steam shoot out of my ears.
I know, I'm watching this.
Beyond racist against white people. And I'm telling you, there's going to be a backlash, and rightfully so. When this kind of stuff comes out and is supported by
the problem
entertainment networks.
Right. Well, the problem is that we have a generation coming up behind us that has been taught by our government schools, the communist school system, that you're white, you should be shamed, you need to be...
You should be ashamed of your color. Right. And this is a very interesting thing that I believe that needs to be talked about. There are activities that happened many, many years, over 100 years before we were born, that can be attributed to a particular race, even though that is actually incorrect. The public perception is that these actions or activities were performed largely by people based on the color of their skin. Okay? That being said, there's this phenomenon, and it is widespread. I mean, it's almost universal, where people believe that because these activities that hadn't happened in over 100 years are attributed to a particular color of a skin of the people that did it, that since you are that color, you did it. Even though it happened over a century.
So you're saying you've never owned slaves?
I've never owned slaves. And did you hear they're making one of the Democratic nominee for president apologize to America for slavery because he's white? And he said he wouldn't do it. But I remember thinking to myself, well, wait a minute. Did he own slaves? Was it de Blasio or whoever's the other Democratic nominee? He was asked to, at this point...
Oh, the one that's giving Hillary a run for her money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's on fire.
He's, by the way, not to go too far, but he's attracting crowds in the tens of thousands.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hillary is attracting hundreds.
Yeah, like literally 10 times more sizable crowds.
His one show he showed up at, there were well over 5,000 people there on the spur of the moment. Hillary had a planned event, 160 people showed.
Right. So I think there needs to be a paradigm shift. Okay?
I'm with you. I'm good.
Black people who have a problem with whites because of slavery that happened over 100 years ago actually believe, literally, that they were in their lifetime or currently are enslaved or are directly affected by white people enslaving them.
And
white people, believe it or not, don't ever notice that when they're accused of being involved in slavery or are asked to apologize to America for slavery, it never dawns on them that maybe they didn't have anything to do with that. It doesn't dawn on them.
You know what?
There needs to be a paradigm shift.
Something just hit me smack dead in the face. I've talked about this before, how my daughter was given a racist slavery book in kindergarten.
Okay.
To read and to learn about slavery.
We talked about that, yeah.
Her attitude towards me when she said, "Don't treat me like a slave." She said, "You're treating me like a slave."
Okay.
She had the wrong definition of what a slave was.
And
they're being taught this in their schools.
Right.
And then when she finds out that she's white, she can't be a slave, but she knows what it feels like because she got it from her father.
Well,
they're
going to break her of that.
I'm feeling guilty.
They're going to break her of being able to relate with slaves because she's white.
She don't know no pain.
Right. That's what they're going to do, and we need a paradigm shift. First of all, if you're white, you're not a slave master, and you did not perform slavery or act or do that activity. You were not involved in that activity.
Right.
Your parents were not involved in that activity.
Unless they're really old and they're Irish.
Your grandparents were not involved in that activity.
Okay.
They did not enslave any black people. If you are black, you were not enslaved. I actually read a Facebook post of a black person that I know and am friends with in real life who said that I don't know the exact wording, but he was basically accusing a white member of Facebook that he's friends with of 400 years of slavery.
Wow.
And I almost wrote back to him, but I chickened out because he's actually a colleague.
Okay.
I almost wrote back, Boggs, I didn't know you were that old.
Well, Carrie, I think you don't understand, but slavery didn't end until, according to USAtoday.com, slavery did not end until January 1st of 1863.
Which was how long ago? Somebody bust out a calculator.
I don't know, Carrie, but that just seems like it's most recent. I just feel like that was just a couple years ago.
I mean, I have it. I know what a lot of people are thinking, white or black. An argument can be made that the effects of slavery could have transcended maybe several generations.
Well, I know the Democrat Party had perpetuated it for almost 100 years after it ended.
Well, they were definitely, I guess by perpetuating it, you mean that they were retaliating against blacks because of they were upset. They were bitter.
Even though the government said it's illegal to own slaves, they fought that to undo that law for well over 100 years.
Well, not only that, but they in their I guess it would be like a backlash of sorts.
Right.
They mistreated blacks in their lifetime.
Oh yeah.
As like just a bitter retaliation for what had happened in the past. And so yeah, I mean, I guess there could transcend several generations, but all this time later, I just think there just needs to be just a giant paradigm shift. People who are falling down this rabbit hole need to be told, look, stop and think about it. You were never enslaved. Anybody that tries to tell you that you're missing out on something in life or are being withheld wealth or power or position or opportunities because of this generational lingering of slavery, you're just making an excuse, or you're accepting somebody else giving you an excuse for whatever failings might have happened.
If this country is so racist, how did we elect a half black, half white communist 2 times in a row?
Yeah, I mean, that's
other than
trickery,
trickery, dickory dock. I mean,
there was definitely some trickery and lies and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I still find it fascinating that all of the stuff that came out about him with the Reverend Wright and the birth certificate.
I can't believe it didn't destroy him. Yeah,
it's shocking. It took a conscious or maybe subconscious effort on a lot of people who would normally find that appalling.
Well, maybe it's their white guilt.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If you're white, it would be white guilt. If you're black, I mean, maybe
it's black guilt. Like, you've got to be down for the black man, for the black struggle.
I see what you're saying. So there's a lot of black people that may look at that and say, I really wish he wasn't into that, but I would feel guilty if I didn't support that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So there is also a black guilt component to it.
We'll do that documentary for MTV a little bit later on.
It's an MTV documentary?
This is an MTV show. So let me just rip this one off.
Okay.
Listen to these white people being interviewed and crying, and how
can't wait to
how the
respond to
show
this.
is going to tip itself off.
So we're doing a film for MTV on what it means to be young and white.
Okay.
Okay.
If you say the wrong thing, then suddenly you are a racist.
I'm trying to be careful here.
I don't want to offend people.
I feel like you guys are attacking me now.
If I bring up any sort of race issue with my parents, they immediately assume that I'm demonizing them.
Give me a hug.
How might your life be different if you weren't white? When you say white, what does that mean to you?
We've never had to internalize what white people have done in America, but here, you can't escape that.
Feels like I'm being discriminated against.
You kind of get this feeling that things belong to you.
I'm getting uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable.
Hey, this is great. Let's get all uncomfortable together.
Okay, it is an absolute bold-faced lie that anybody would think, well, because I'm white, you kind of get this sense that things belong to you.
I was approached when I went out to L.A. I was approached by a woman who was a minority and hated on me immediately because I'm white and I'm a male. And things have been given to me my whole life. However, if you ask the friends around me, you know that ain't true.
Yeah. I mean, flat out.
It was an instant knee-jerk boom. I was like, where did this come from?
You know, there is no word, or not that I know of. I'd love the 2 words that people could be called when they say or behave that way is racism and bigotry. But neither of them encompass what's really going on here. Racism, by definition, remember, definitions matter a lot in our show. But if you look at the definition of racism, it not only does it get misused by a lot of people, but I even accidentally misuse it sometimes. It means that you have a belief that your race is superior than other races. That's all. So when somebody comes up to you and says, I don't know you at all. I know nothing about you, but I can see that you have white skin and you're male. So that means that everything was given to you. I always, that sounds racist to me, but by definition,
it's not.
I guess you could call it reverse racism because she's feeling like the other person's race is superior. And so when black people say, I can't be racist because I'm black.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Well, if you believe that your race, if you're black race, you're a black person, you believe your black race, your race is superior than others, then by definition you're racist. But you don't see that a lot. What you end up seeing is that they believe, either consciously or subconsciously, that that others think that their race is superior, which is why they call everybody racist all the time. Because by definition, they would be right that they are racist if they were right about the other races thinking that they're superior.
Right.
So what do you call the person who gets that wrong based on the color of the person's skin that they're calling?
Oh, yeah.
There's no word for it,
Right,
and there
right.
needs to be, because it is an overwhelming phenomenon that happens every single day, and it's a problem, and it needs to stop.
Jimmy Carter, 2 weeks ago, came out and said that Jesus Christ would approve of gay marriage. This week, he's just come out and said white people have a feeling of superiority to people of color.
Oh, that's called projection.
Right. A suspicious mind is a guilty conscience.
Well, for those of you that don't listen to us regularly and don't know what projection is, it's a very important...
He's saying many Americans still have racism running through their veins.
You don't inherit racism.
No.
It's taught.
It's taught.
Now,
except in Jimmy Carter's sense, he was born an idiot.
Well, a racist idiot. But no, just to catch you up,
right,
in case this is the first time you've ever heard Smith Radio, we refer to projection a lot as a psychological phenomenon, if you will, where I guess the way I could sum it up would be you accuse other people of the very thing that you're doing or feeling. And in Carter's case, he's calling other people racist or bigots when really that's just based on their feeling. And he's saying that because he feels that. What was the quote again? You have it in front of you?
Yes.
Did you lose it?
No, Jimmy's right here. White people have feelings of superiority to colored people.
Okay, so
to people of color.
Okay, so he is a white person,
and he's old because he referred to people of color.
Oh well, okay.
Dude, nobody says. Come on, who says that?
It's like when you hear Johnson, not people that play Johnson in movies.
Oh, okay.
They always say the word Negro.
Right. Well, that is what they said back in the 40s
in
and
his
50s.
days.
Yeah.
Well, it'd been 60s. Back in the 60s, when he was president, remember he took over for Kennedy.
Right.
When he got assassinated. That's what black people were called by everybody. Journalists, presidents, whatever. That's just what they called them. And when you hear actors say that. But anyway, in his case, when he says white people blank, right off the bat, what he really is saying is, me, I'm white, right. I feel this way. Therefore, I am projecting my feelings on the whole white race because I am judging people based on their skin color. I'm judging them because they have the same skin color as me.
Correct.
And that is just so wrong. It just makes me, just drives me nuts. Anyway.
Bakery defies anti-Confederate flag crowd.
Oh, did you hear about this?
Baked a Confederate flag.
This is actually old news. There's the new news of somebody defying it, whatever. Walmart they have a bakery, I guess.
Yeah.
They were asked to bake a Confederate flag cake, and of course they denied it.
Okay.
Obviously. I mean, is anybody surprised about that? I don't think it's right, and I'm not a supporter of the stars and bars. I mean, I'm a Northerner. My ancestors are Northerners, and in fact, I have one of my ancestors fought in the Civil War for the North and took a bullet, and I have federal documentation to prove that. But anyway, I digress. I still enjoy my freedom of speech, the First Amendment of the Constitution, and I believe that everybody in America should enjoy that. And if they want to make a freaking cake with stars and bars, whatever. If the baker says, no, I don't want to make that because my religious beliefs are against that, I'm okay with that too. But the same baker at Walmart that didn't want to do the stars and bars went ahead and made an ISIS flag cake.
Nice.
Not just an ISIS cake, an ISIS flag cake, which is in direct apples-to-apples comparison with the stars and bars.
Well, no.
No, I'm saying baking a cake of a flag.
Because ISIS is an absolute barbaric and insane organization.
The issue of baking a cake that is in the that is of a flag.
Right.
It's apples to apples. You have cake of a flag, cake of a flag. Why would you not allow this but allow this?
Would it be the same with the American flag?
Well, if you're a liberal, you would not bake that one either.
Right.
Or progressive.
Right.
Because you are definitely... You have to be anti-American if you're against the Constitution. And since we know progressives are absolutely doing everything in their power to defeat every part of the Constitution, we know that they're anti-American and therefore would not want to bake a cake for somebody that is of American flag that would be against their religious belief of atheism.
So they love to twist and askew things, and apparently there's a new exhibit opening in Chicago.
Okay. Let's hear about this.
A new art exhibit about Michael Brown, who's from Ferguson. The Ferguson police shooting was no longer.
The late, great Michael Brown.
The gentle giant.
Ah, yes.
Is on display in Chicago. The piece features a life-size portrayal of Michael Brown after he was killed. It's a body of him dressed in what he was wearing, and it's laying face down in a makeshift-looking street. It also includes a black Statue of Liberty. Yes, a black Statue of Liberty and a noose dangling from a neon sign. The exhibit also features...
Wait. What does the sign say? Do you know? Does it say that?
Yeah. The exhibit also... Oh. I thought the sign says this, but apparently there's also a plaque with the words, "I can't breathe." Referencing the Eric Garner police involvement death in New York.
Wait a minute. Are these different art things, or is this all one? You're saying one giant...
It's one giant one, and, as an artist, you can do whatever. If it's misspelled, that's art. That's on purpose, bruh.
There's a reason for that.
You better get with the plan. Look at it. Look at it closely. So a Brown family member praises the exhibit. The artist is a white woman from New Orleans.
Ah, okay.
She says it represents white privilege in America and how it negatively affects the black community.
Wait a minute. How does that statement make any sense? The only way that statement can make sense is if she believes, which, believe me, this is very believable.
Yeah.
If she believes that whites have the privilege to kill a black person.
Well, they do.
You're
privileged. You're allowed to.
Their skin color allows them to kill a black person. Never mind that he could have been violating a law.
I was talking to a guy at work.
Yeah,
I was talking to a white guy at work who has two white friends that he knows fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
And he said both his friends, at some point in their life, under the age of 30, some point in their life, had shot and killed a black man.
What?
Two of his friends, who are white, had in their lifetime shot and killed one black man each and did 0 jail time.
I mean, was it justified? Or?
The one was being jumped.
Okay.
And the other one was involved. It was a robbery or something that was involved in. Guy had a gun and he pulled his gun out and said, "Drop it." The guy didn't drop it. He shot and the black guy was shooting. Black guy got hit. The white guy didn't.
So he knows two white guys that have killed black guys and didn't didn't have any kind of punishment for killing somebody.
Correct.
And of course,
I just thought that was interesting that he made that a point to tell me that. And
first
I
of all,
had to dig into him to find out the situations of each one.
Yeah, like, please give me more information, because that sounds... Brian and I are white, so we know we're white, and we know a lot of white people.
You may look at my skin color, but I identify as Caribbean.
A white Caribbean?
An island, Pacific Islander.
Oh, like
not Caribbean. Hawaiian, Pacific Islander.
Oh, Pacific Islander. So I was going to say it could be in Asia, like Okinawa. That's a Pacific island.
That would be, but we don't go that far.
Oh.
Our people don't go there.
Our people don't go there. Oh, tell me more about your people. Oh.
We are allowed to be as racist as we want because there's only one of us. We're the ultimate minority. There's only one of me.
You're the last of the Mohicans?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. So anyway, how did we get off on that tangent? Oh, so Brian and I are white. How in the world? We don't know anybody that's killed a black person or a white person.
I'm thinking really hard about it. I
can't think of one person.
But we were in the military too, both of us.
Well, I can't think of one person that I know personally. Oh, except for my brother. He did kill somebody.
Oh, your brother, what color was he?
He was white. He was an old white man.
Well, that's not right.
And he didn't kill him on purpose.
So he killed an old man.
He killed an old white man, which means it's totally justified.
Well, yeah. I mean, he is in a union.
But he didn't shoot him or anything like that.
He ran him down.
With a car?
No, something bigger.
Something bigger in a car? Was it a truck?
No, bigger.
Bigger than a truck?
It's huge. And it was long.
How are we laughing about this?
Because it goes choo, choo, choo.
Oh, yeah. So my brother really kind of clipped somebody with a train. But he was in the way. What are you going to do?
And he was carrying all of his equipment across the bridge.
I mean, he tried to swerve.
The union is now petitioning for all trains to have steering wheels.
Oh, man. Oh, it was on a trestle, like Stand By Me.
Yeah.
Except in Stand By Me, they had the ability to jump off if they wanted to because there was no walls.
So the government intervention killed the guy because the government says there has to be 8-foot-high walls on a train trestle.
I had my brother, I said, explain to me how he couldn't just like get out of the way or something. He's like, nah, I mean, the walls, you can't climb over them. They're like 8 foot high. The walls of the trestle.
That blows my mind.
And
why would the walls have to be that high? I don't get it.
Well, there's that, but then how come he can't just press his body up against the wall?
Right.
I mean, is there really that much space? He's like, yeah, it's not much space.
What?
I would press my body up.
How do you not get like a foot? 12 inches.
That's all you would need.
12.
At the most.
It's closer than 12?
I would have gave it a shot. I wouldn't have just blindly ran and hoped that I made it to the end, although he did say he got close.
Oh, that's so painful.
I know, you're so close.
He was carrying 3 chainsaws, a backpack, his lunchbox, pole saw.
Yeah.
And if he'd have
dropped... He was a tree service guy.
And he was late to work. So he's going to take a shortcut across the train tracks.
He pulled a Gordon from Stand By Me.
Yep.
Oh, Gordy.
Gordy. Didn't work out very well.
So he tried to go, and all of a sudden he was like, train, in slow motion, started sprinting, but he didn't drop any of his equipment. He tried to limp along with carrying all of his equipment. Oh, anyway. So if Eric, you're listening, I hope you're all right.
Sorry about that, buddy.
Yeah. Anyway, so.
Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of down in the dumps about all this stuff going on. The Iran thing is insane.
So
I've got a lot of stuff on that. China's imploding, by the way. Did you know that?
Oh, I heard about that. Well,
China is now entering 1929.
Ooh,
the year of the. It's so bad.
I am so confused.
It's so bad. The government of China has frozen
Ooh.
all assets for anybody that wants to sell or trade anything on the stock market for 6 months.
China's stock market meltdown 3 hours ago.
Oh, so
biggest financial disaster since the 1929 Wall Street crash.
There you go.
After shares on its stock markets nosedive. Well, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about my father. He is a, I don't know, I like to call him a day trader. He wouldn't necessarily agree.
Very active.
He would probably be a little bit more specific, but he's always buying and selling stocks. He's retired now, so he wakes up in the morning.
He looks at it. He watches them. He watches trends. He's got his...
So he wakes up in the morning.
Things that he does.
Yeah, he gets on the computer and he starts just digging through whether or not to buy or sell certain companies, certain stocks. And it's just nonstop every day with him. So he told me a story one time of these companies that he was buying. And he would buy them based on all of the indicators that are important to him to determine whether or not it's a good company to purchase the stock of. Because if all of the indicators are correct in his mind, it's going to make him money. So that's what he does. So all of a sudden he would buy this company, and that's not always going to profit him, but he found a couple whose numbers were out of sight. They were perfect. Like, oh my gosh, the stock's down, which is when you want to buy. You want to buy when it's down. It's cheap enough to buy. All these indicators look great. Couple days later, he loses a lot of money. And he doesn't understand. He's like, what is going on here? So finally, after this happens a couple times, he digs into what happened with these stocks. Come to find out, they were Chinese companies.
Oops.
Well, what's wrong with a Chinese company? They were fake.
Oh, so you're talking about that one really, 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 really rich guy in China that used to be poor, that's now rich because the government allowed him.
Oh, right. It could be that. But no, these were government-owned companies. It's a communist dictatorship.
Yeah.
So
the People's Republic of China is just words to cover up the main word, which is communism.
Right. So what the government would do, they would figure out, what can we do to get people to purchase shares in these fake companies that we made? And they would cook the books. And then investors all over the world would say, oh, here's one to buy. And then they would tank it and take all the money.
Right. If the government's in on it, what other country is going to... I mean, you could tell China to pony up the money.
Oh, no. When it comes to stocks...
But in the end, what do you... No, right. I mean, you could put sanctions against them, but now they have their own stock exchange.
Right.
I mean, they have their own market.
So basically, my dad decided now he has a new indicator to look at when it comes to buying and selling stocks.
If it's Chinese...
Stay the hell away from it. That's exactly what he does. And so it doesn't surprise me too much that China is having a meltdown. They probably a whole bunch of fake... It reminds me of the dot-com bubble.
Yes.
The thing about the dot-com bubble is people would come out and say, all right, we started a website, a couple of HTML pages. We're going public.
Yeah, and we want millions.
And the name of our company is icecubes.com.
Oh, wow.
And basically, we service ice cubes.
So, widgets.com.
We don't sell ice cubes. We service.
So if you have problems with your ice cubes melting in your drink, call us.
Send them. Just mail them to us. Send a check. And by the way, invest in our stock.
Right.
So anyway, needless to say, the dot-com bubble burst like crazy and the NASDAQ went through the floor and blah, blah, blah. Well, it sounds like, based on my dad's experience with Chinese companies and our observation of what happened during the dot-com bubble, I'm not really that surprised. So China, what now?
They're saying you think Greece is bad? China is exponentially worse. And the effect will be exponentially worse because Greece, And I had Greece in a stack of stuff. The bottom line with Greece is that Germany is looking at a way to remove Greece altogether.
Now, did you hear the latest?
They're giving them a timeout. That's what they said. They're giving them a timeout from the euro.
But you know what? I love that language because when it comes to socialist, you got to treat them like children.
Of course. And they treat everybody in power treats everybody else like their children. Like Obama treats everybody like his kids.
Particularly socialist, though. Yeah,
correct.
Particularly so.
So they're giving them a timeout, and well, I'll just read you. I got the numbers right here. It's here it is. Greece's failure to give its creditors in the 19 countries of the Eurozone proof that it can deliver on its promises to implement tough austerity and reform measures in return for billions more in bailout money has finance ministers considering an alternate plan that would give Athens a time out from the Eurozone and possible debt write-offs. This is from Reuters. Apparently, since 2010 till now, it's 5 years, take a stab at how much they've been given and they need to pay back.
Oh, I can't even begin to imagine. We're talking astronomical numbers, probably.
$270 billion. They said they need 50 to 75 billion more.
You know, by American debt standards, that's actually not that much.
No, that's what Obama spends in a week.
On a vacation?
On a vacation. However, we're talking about a country that is tiny. And its GDP is tiny. Gross domestic product.
Well, they would be tiny since they don't work.
Oh, and you retire after 45.
I hate to insult anybody from Greece, but get your butt back to work.
Hey, I got a real quick soundbite from a guy on Fox News. His name's David Nielsen. He was asked the question, what does a Greece bailout look like? And what type of precedent would this set if a deal is made? You got that, producer? That would be soundbite 8A. Go.
Well, what it'll look like, they need cash right now because for bank experts say that perhaps less than 2-3 days of cash left in the bank machines, in the teller machines. So they're going to need cash. And the numbers I'm hearing are anywhere from 50 billion US to 84 billion. It's a lot of money, and there's a lot of lack of trust. I think the big issue right now for the finance ministers is they're looking at Parliament in Greece, which had voted for this proposal. And what's interesting about this proposal that they're making is almost identical to what creditors wanted in the first place. So why the referendum vote? So the distrust right now, the mistrust rather, is that will they even implement these reforms that they're putting forth once the deal is passed?
So did you catch what he said there at the end? The people voted no on that austerity.
Right.
However, the prime minister, however, the head leader, the poobah, grand poobah
of Greece,
is negotiating what the people just voted no on. So it looks like they're gonna have to do it anyways.
The story I heard is that it's like they're playing chicken, and Greece won because it sounds like Germany or the rest of Europe is going to end up bailing them out anyway.
Well, they might, but if they do, part of the bailout is going to be you've got to sit this one out. You got to sit out for a minute. Now, I don't know how you go from taking your entire country, changing all its money to euro money, and then tell them they've got to sit out. What is their money now? Is it still euro money?
It's just Greece. Actual Greece.
Actual Greece.
Yeah, it's like Crisco in a can.
Oh, man.
That is their currency.
That's their currency. Is slabs of grease and butter.
Butter.
There was an article I had. Italian banks take cheese for collateral.
Okay.
Apparently, well, this is something I knew too as well. Italy almost did not make it into the euro. but at the last minute they're like, "Oh, we just need more bodies.
Okay.
We'll fix you. We just need more bodies." Apparently, Italy's got their issue. This is all socialism, folks. Socialist communism. This is what communism leads to. We talked about New York City. About that's falling apart. There's socialism, Democrats, liberals. That's what they've done. Chicago. That's what they've done. Detroit. That's what they've done. This is what these people do. They're like Tommy Boy in the movie Tommy Boy, who takes his little pet and he squishes it and crushes it, and I killed him.
Yeah, they think they have to. It's all about micromanaging, really.
Oh, take the worst boss you've ever had,
and then make him president.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, the one that just annoys you because it's like, dude, just let me do my job.
The one that walks into the lunchroom 30 seconds before lunch break's over.
To make sure that you're walking out on time.
Looking at his watch.
Oh, you had a boss like that?
Well, the owner of the company, his son took over. His son was watching the video cameras, see how long people on night shift were going to the bathroom.
Was he watching them use the bathroom?
Well, that's another story.
Oh, wow. Like, I was just... Whoa, dude. I was just seeing how long you were in there. I wasn't looking at anything
then why
else.
is this...
Why is there one in the bowl?
Oh, there's a news story today in Starbucks. Watch out in Starbucks when you go into a single bathroom by yourself. Look under the sink.
Why?
A woman went into the bathroom with her son, who's little, and she was using the bathroom, and the son was walking under the sink. Found a camera that was set on record.
Oh, wow. That could be an issue.
Yes!
That's definitely an issue.
Oh, so the second question, the Fox News asked David Nelson, what type of precedent would this set if a deal was made? Because obviously, if they make a deal, there's lines drawn in the sand, and there is definitely a precedent that's being set here. So this is what he had to say about that.
I don't know. To be honest, this is the third bailout package for Greece right now. They haven't lived up to any of the promises, and that's really the issue here. If this cascades over to, say, populist movements that are in Portugal, Spain, and Italy and other areas of the Eurozone, it could be pretty severe for the Euro as a whole. So I think they're going to make it very, very difficult for the Greek government, and I wouldn't dismiss totally the possibility of Greece exiting the Euro. It might, in the long run, even be the best thing for Greece.
There you have it, folks. Might be the best thing for Greece. Because if you think about it, if they dump this money on them, they bail. Imagine Canada calling America saying, yo, bro, big bro, I know we're America Junior up here, but we need $500 billion. Otherwise, we're going to have to shut it down. Canada. Mm-hmm. Say Canada asked us for that.
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel as a taxpayer knowing that it's one thing that we're giving hundreds of millions of dollars to countries around the world, but that you know that your hard-earned money is propping up a worthless country that doesn't want to work?
Well, here's what you do. I mean, you have to say, all right, well, we're just going to let them go on their own.
Because if they give them a bailout.
But there's an example of America and another country where the difference is we never funneled them money and then took it away. We just never funneled money to them as a country. And they are poor. And that would be like Mexico.
Right.
So just leave Greece to their own devices and they'll turn into... Greece to the rest of Europe will be the Mexico of Europe.
Oh, right. And by the way, when we conquered all of Mexico, they're probably dying because to know that they could have been America. Because we owned it all at one time and decided to give what is currently known as Mexico, we gave that back to them.
Right. We just said, you know what? Y'all here's your area. Here's your area.
Right, kids, keep it. You could be us, but nah.
This is the line.
Keep it.
This is ours. Stay the hell out.
How about them apples? Could you imagine? How about them apples?
Well, that's what happened. I mean, there's the Mexican-American War.
Could have been Americans. I mean, U.S. Americans, because we all are all Americans.
Right. I think one of the main things that may have prevented that might have been a language barrier. I mean, if you look at what is it, New Mexico? I think they have a constitution that's actually written in Spanish.
Wow.
Yeah, there is a state in the United States that has a completely Spanish written constitution. So it's not unprecedented to have other languages and stuff like that as a part of America. That's why I wouldn't mind. I think that America should just annex Mexico and say, all right.
I know, we disagree on that.
Yeah. I mean, they should annex it, and then it would be part of America, and then they would be under American law at that point.
Right, and they would get all of our money.
Well, the fact.
All the welfare would be dished out.
So you're saying that
they would the Democrats would say they need to be raised up to the level of just above poor, which is $45,000 a year.
But no more.
No more.
No more. Yeah, I mean, it should be annexed because I think just saying, look, all right, fine, you're part of America and you're subject to all of our laws and your entire corrupt government is now abolished.
Okay, I don't have so much a problem with that. The problem I have is that the politicians that are in power right now would suck that up and make all of Mexico completely beholden to the Democrat Party.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't,
because they'd be passing out money like Rome was, like Caesar was.
So we should just find all the conservative pockets or conservative states in America and just secede from the communist United States.
Well, that will be Texas.
Well, that's one state, but I think there would be more.
Everybody's moving to Texas.
Well, let's say Texas leaves first. I guarantee you it'll be like falling like dominoes. There'll be state after state after state that joins Texas as a new United States.
I almost hope that that's how this will go, because that could, if they start to do that to take the power away from the federal government and walk away from the feds, and as soon as one state successfully does it, watch out.
And the thing is whatever, this is what the problem with it is. Whatever communist that's in charge of the country at the time is going to say, well, we need to do it like they did it back in the 1860s, baby. And we're going to go ahead and launch our full military on them to defeat them completely, and then we'll take that state back.
Oh, wow.
They're gonna bring in the F-15s, the B-52 bombers, the stealth fighters. It'll be the whole kit and caboodle. Well, you know what they'll argue? They'll say, well, we have military bases in your state, and all of the property, all of the weapons, everything, that's ours, and if you don't give it to us, we're going to take it, and it'll be their justification for invading, and they'll invade.
Wow.
But there's a chance that they could say, we do military coup. Say, hey,
it's true.
Your military is on our side.
That's true.
And so they're not going to attack us. That would be the only hope that would work. So,
and that's what happened in Rome. That's how you became emperor of Rome, is you became a very, very, very powerful general.
Right.
And decided hey, I'm bigger than all this. I'm going to take my army. I'm going to take Rome.
We'll just go ahead and say we're in charge now.
Yep. That's exactly. And if you listen to Donald Trump, have you heard his stance on military?
What's he say?
Well, he gave a speech yesterday.
Oh, wow. Okay. Breaking news.
Breaking news to a crowd in Arizona. He defiantly rallies a new silent majority in a visit to Arizona. So he's saying the silent majority is back and we're going to take our country back. And this is a soundbite of him and his stance. So if you're on the fence about Trump, this should pretty much push you one way or the other, or at least start to shove and nudge at you.
I respect Mexico. greatly as a country. But the problem we have is that their leaders are much smarter, sharper, and more cunning than our leaders, and they're killing us at the border, and they're killing us in trade. They're killing us. Just between you and I, just between this little bit of a group, thank you very much. I wonder if the Mexican government sent them over here. I think so. My wife is a legal immigrant. I mean, she went through a whole long process. It's not easy. And we should maybe make it easier and faster, which I think is fine. And we'll have great people come in. Now, I am more for the military, and I am the most militaristic person in this room. I would have a military that's so strong that we would never have to use it, because people would say, no way we're messing with them. No way we're messing with them.
Oh, y'all.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, man.
So I forgot that. There was a sound in the middle of that speech. There was a handful of people with like not a flag, but it was like a sheet, and it was makeshift. They didn't show what was on the sheet, but apparently they were chanting for illegal immigration being legal to amnesty.
Yeah, because they interrupted that part of his speech to start chanting.
Right, and you could see the crowd engulfed them, took away their little banner thing, and ushered them out.
There you go.
I mean, it was no beatdown. It wasn't no melee like some soccer match out in Euro, the Euro,
Brazil.
There weren't any nudists running across the field or anything.
Which is really surprising if they were leftists. I mean, you would think that would be what they did.
That they would be new. Oh my God. These insane women, girls protesting over in Russia, thinking that nudity is going to get people's attention, just blows.
Did it?
It got my attention, but I'm not.
That's what I'm talking
but
about.
I'm not sending no money to help.
You're not sending money. You're not joining the cause.
No, I'm not. So, Lindsey Graham. Oh,
yeah, he called Donald Trump the wrecking ball for the future of the Republican Party. Is he saying that he's going to destroy the party?
Yeah, let me play this. I'll play half of it, just a few seconds of it, to where he says it's killing it.
Senator, this is a big part of your presidential campaign. You are a candidate right now. You're in New Hampshire campaigning today. You're doing better in some places than others. But in the latest national poll, the latest CNN national poll, you're at 1%. And a guy named Donald Trump is at 12%. He has an event this weekend in Arizona where he claims he has to change the venue because so many people want to come hear him talk in Arizona this weekend. He's got to go to a bigger place. What is driving this fascination with him, do you think?
Well, I think he said something that has brought people who are frustrated about our immigration system to life, but he also said it in a way that's going to kill my party. When Donald Trump says...
He said it in a way that it's going to kill my party.
Was he referring to him saying that Mexico's sending rapists?
Right. He even quotes him. This is on CNN, and wow, CNN just made him feel like the smallest person in the room.
You're currently polling at 1/1000%. I think one person is supporting you. I think it might be your wife.
And a drug addict out of Seattle.
Right. What would you say to those two people that are following you? What do you say to the other 99.999% of the people who don't support you? I mean, yeah, they definitely did a good job of making him feel pretty small, and he kind of chuckled about it.
He did. It's just pathetic. So Lindsey Graham's coming. The Republican Party's coming out against Donald Trump. Everybody's trying to slam Donald. And Democrat state senators of California have introduced a resolution calling on the state of California to dump Trump. But in doing that, they have violated federal law.
Yeah, that's called violating what people want. If people want Donald Trump, who are you to say dump him?
The resolution, which has not been put to a vote in legislation yet, excoriates Trump for his comments during a June speech. It also denounces Senator Ted Cruz, other presidential contenders, who has come to Trump's aid in defense. State of California will not stand for this type of racist rhetoric and racist behavior.
Oh, quit with the racism.
Today we stand and call upon the state of California to dump Trump.
Yeah, what about the people that in California that support him? We over?
There we are. We will be.
We have 20 seconds.
All right, folks. Have a great week. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. We are all over the place for you.
Have a good one.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable.